They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles. Body work,
Welcome to Body Work.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. It feels so good to be back. I told y'all I'm not going to leave y'all without a dope boxing podcast to step to. And this is an episode that we was supposed to do. Me and my main Apple Scrabble AC. We was supposed to do it yesterday, but I ain't even lie to you. I fell asleep. I fell asleep, man. I got up and I was like, what in the what? My whole world was discombobulated. But with no further ado, we right back at it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things that's been going on in boxing, man. And we've been communicating behind the scenes, but I've been scratching my head at a lot of things, you know. What's going on with you, AC?
Man,
how you feel?
Man, everything is good, man. It's a nice sunny day for once, you know, here in New York and shit like that. So I'm ready to chop this up because at the end of the day, man, I'm just like, what the hell is going on out here? What the hell on the hell in hell is going on out here? I don't know how a person can maneuver in the sport, in the individual sport of combat, can maneuver himself to actually be the king on the chessboard. And that's just where I'm gonna leave it without going too far in and shit like that.
Yeah, I've been looking at it, and it's a unique situation. I mean, I can't really say that without merit, because when you putting butts in seats and everybody want to see you, and the cable man come over and he talking about your fight coming up, and you at work, water cooler talking, they talking about your fight coming up. That's one thing. But when the casuals don't know you, and the boxing narratives and boxing media has gotten a hold of you, and that's the only thing. And it's just like everybody, I'm just slowly seeing that all the dick riders, I'll give you a precursor to the episode, man. And it's kind of, timing is everything, because it's kind of weird that we didn't go yesterday. But I had, I was listening to the Boxing Voice this morning, and I heard somebody that we know call in. And this dummy, crash dummy, he gonna say, yeah, I got Ray Ford because I know Ray Ford. I mean, if you know somebody, okay, cool. Like, I'm not good. I wouldn't just bet that AC just going, like, if I say, look, man, I know AC, so I'm rocking with AC, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to decimate this guy over here, but this AC's my guy. I'm going to leave it at that. But he qualified it by saying, yeah, I know Ray Ford, man. That's my boy, and we rocking together, and Ray Ford gonna do what he need to do against Oshaki, and he gonna beat him. And that way, Oshaki never gets a shot at Shakur. I was like, you want me to take the what and leave the what? Like, I understand you rocking one, but that's just the characteristics of niggas from that area. And I'm kind of over it. I already know that they fallacious. They ain't say shit about, cause they was gonna take full credit. Had Richard Torres went in there and did the same thing that Frank Sanchez did to Richard Torres, they were gonna take full credit. They were gonna take full credit of that bullshit. But since it didn't happen, we ain't hear nothing. It reminded me of last year when Diego Pacheco, we were riding against them with Diego Pacheco, just on the strength on boxing skills. And it's crazy because the caller is supposed to be a fucking boxer. But he said he got Ray Ford beating up Oshaki so that Oshaki would never get a shot at Shakur. I said, yo, we gotta dive into this a little bit deeper. It's like, okay, so you don't want Oshaki to get a shot at Shakur, and then you grabbing the tonsil jewelry, you grabbing the throat coat, you pulling out the reach around extenders for Shakur? For what? If he's one of them ones, you want to see him do something to somebody like you would want. Okay, it's like, okay, I got Ray Ford, but look, shit, if Oshaki get past him, then shit, he got to see Shakur, something like that. Not so that he will never get a shot at Shakur, and that just epitomizes it all. And that's why I said, man, you can't gaslight me. I'm already lit. And I was shocking. That's why I said I don't care to have a relationship with nobody from that region. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? For real. I was really like being genuine. You know what I'm saying? Even though I personally never said nothing to you, I always encouraged you and uplifted you and said, get well, get soon. But I don't give a fuck about nobody from that region. Why? Because it's just clear that what they on is not what body workers on. Not what people that, care about the sport and longevity of the sport. Especially, and it's surprising coming from somebody that dares to want to venture and set out to do big things in the sport. It's like if somebody came across you, let's just say AC was fighting you, and I say, hey man, AC my man, but listen man, I know this guy over here, he got some skills, but I'm riding with my guy. That's one thing. But just say, oh man, yeah, I want you to do AC something bad so he'll never get a shot at Bud or he'll never get a shot at Spence. That's like, man, what the blood clot are you saying, bro? I don't get it. And it's just being prevalent to where boxing politics, it really ran its ugly head in the sport of boxing. And it's kind of sad because all the other sports, they actually have checks and balances. And the main checks and balances they have is that they have a schedule. Like basketball, they have a schedule. They can't be like, oh yeah, I want the Clippers to beat the Spurs so they'll never get to see Boston. Like that don't happen. You got to show up and show out, baby. Like you can't well at the end of the season maybe you might be able to say, oh well, I want let's just say I want the Giants to beat the Eagles since that's my team. I want the Giants to beat the Eagles, and that way they'll never get to, you know what I'm saying, spank the Cowboys if you're a Cowboy. That's that sport. But in this sport, when it's mano a mano and all you got like a DJ, all you got are the ones and the twos, you sound like a fool. You know what I'm saying? So I'm off that. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about nobody from that region. I'm going to give other reasons, but like boxing politics is really saturating the market. And I'll say that I'll drop it there because I don't want to go off into, you know, the meat and potatoes before I get to the housekeeping. But let me go ahead and get to the housekeeping. Let me get to the housekeeping.
For sure.
Which is going to tie right along with what I'm saying as well. Like I didn't get to do this because I did do a post about it, and I was going to take it down, but then I said, no, you know what? No, fuck that. I'm leaving it up. And my man D Calico, he chimed in and said, yeah, he's sizing them up. And I'm like, it's more than the sizing up because we passed the rematch with Bud and Spence, but like Spence training with Bud is a clout chase. Not a clout chase on Earl Spence. Don't get it twisted. A clout chase on Bud. Why? And when I saw it, I said, okay. When I looked at it, like, because I'm an Earl Spence fan first. In that situation, I'm an Earl Spence fan first. I appreciate what Bud brings to the table. You know, how much of a killer he is. He's the closer my boxers watch, all of that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be right and exact when you get in the ring with him. But I noticed how, I'm not going to lie and say that, you know, he was just he was going around beating shit down people's head because he shared the divisions with people at times when I'm like, well, why didn't this fight happen? Why didn't that fight happen? How come when he was undisputed, he picked the weakest link going up the welterweight? Why did he choose to leave Earl Spence? I have so many questions in that boxing politics and all the people in the power to be always get in my fucking way. They never really want to get flambéed or barbecued that I never get my answer. So I left it alone. I really left it alone. But when I saw Earl Spence, you know, hitting the pads with Bud, I felt some kind of way. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, what is this all about? Because Bud came on and said so much shit about Earl after the fight. Because unless you've been hiding under a rap, unless you truly a casual, you already know that the fight that really put Bud on the map was the Earl Spence fight. That was like the one that lit the charcoals. That's what got the charcoals. Like, if you know anything about barbecue, you need your charcoal to be white. But when he went in there, and because when they white, they're going to burn like all night. Like, you can put whatever you want on the grill as long as you don't put too much sauce on it and let the shit just drip or put too much liquid on it. That grill is going to burn all night. That was Earl for Bud. But like, Earl was the white charcoals to Bud's flame. It's like he needed that. And up until then, you can say whatever you want, but we can go down the laundry list. And I told everybody in real time, I said, listen, y'all gonna let the victory of Earl over Bud overshadow all the behavior and all the action before that. And since then, he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age. They've been doing that. And I said, listen, it's disrespectful to wait until hindsight to pull out all these things that we knew in real time. That's why on this channel, we operate in real time. Like at 7:30, we're talking about shit that's going on at 7:30. We're not going to be a minute late. We're going to speak on, that's why I call it the pulse of boxing, because at any given time, we can give you the pulse of boxing. Because we stay knowledgeable. Even if it's people that we don't care for, we'll still give you a fair shake. We'll still break it down and give it in real time. But I felt some kind of way when I seen Earl hitting the pads with Bud. And I said, man, listen, you didn't need to do that. Why? Because just like I said before, when I talked about a nigga from Nebraska who called in with that bullshit, talking about, oh, I'm pulling for for Ray Forrest, so Oshaki will never get a shot at Shakur. that same bitch assness was resonating, because all they're going to do is I didn't hear not one person say, oh man, well shit, wasn't Bomac training with Richard Torres? Because that was the hype all before it. That was like the man, oh yeah, you know Richard Torres, he got around, and you know they specialize in that body work. How did that end out? How did that end up? He got his ass knocked the fuck out, just like all them fighters last year. Steve Nelson got his ass stopped by he got beat up by Pacheco. Then he got his ass stopped by a dude who we don't even really know. I know him, but we don't even really know. In the track record last year, that's why we was up and motherfuckers was looking all like some Sour Patch Kids, because we was just saying, hey man, is it that Bud is just that special, or is the camp really doing this and this and that? Because what's going to happen is, if Earl goes in there and he washes Tim Tszyu, the camp gonna take full credit. If he get his ass beat, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna do the same thing that they did with a bunch of other motherfuckers that was over there affiliated with it. Well, he wasn't really with us. And like, yeah, we only had one camp. Cause remember when Eubanks got his ass stopped, knocked out, and all of that. It's like, that's what they do. It's no characteristic. That's what I be talking about. And for Shakur to say that he got the word integrity from a guy like Bud, knock it off. So I don't know. It's gonna be a win-win for Earl. You know, from Spence fans who we not taking too much into consideration with him going in there and hitting no pads with Bud. We don't give a fuck about that. You didn't have to do that. I'm just glad that you linked up with a good coach, that you got your mindset on the right, and that you came back when you chose to come back. Because I said, like Roy Jones, you're going to be like Roy Jones, like Mike Tyson, like the guys that I looked up to coming up in this boxing shit, to where it's like, once they started, like, once Mike Tyson was like, when he fought Tommy Morrison, he was like, I just really wanted the money to feed my family. Like, I damn near broke my TV. I almost was like, I was about to like motherfucking punch somebody in the face after I saw that, because I'm like, man, listen, man, that's not the Mike Tyson that I know. When I started seeing Roy Jones getting punched through the ropes and getting stiff-legged and getting laid out and all that, I was like, man, listen, I don't want to watch you no more. So as an Earl Spence fan, I'm just concerned with Earl coming back being, 70%, 65 to 70% of what Earl was. Like, if he's back up to where he was when he fought Ugas, even though he got caught against Ugas, I'll take that. I'll ride with that. But like, if it's gonna be one of the things when you come back and you getting stiff-legged and knocked through the ropes and all that, it's just like, no. I'm like, nah, man, you got enough bread, you got enough whatever. But I want to put this out here as a stake in the ground. If Earl Spence is to watch Tim Tszyu, them Bud only fans, them dummies from Nebraska, they're gonna be all over the place talking about, oh yeah, it's because he trained with Earl. If he get his ass knocked out, they're gonna be saying, oh well, he only had one session with Bud, so it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's why for me, I call Earl the Steve Irwin of this boxing shit. You know how Steve Irwin, he would get in there with them cobras, you know what I'm saying? He get in there with all kind of alligators and all this, but guess what happened? He wound up getting caught by a stingray. You know what I'm saying? And I just know that them spineless jellyfish of people that, dwell in that region where they have no backbone, to where all their boxing common knowledge and all that, oh yeah, I'm going for the pure boxer and all that shit go out the window when they got a favoritism or when they want to make an excuse. That's why, like I said, man, you can't excuse everything that Bud did prior to the Bud and Earl Spence. You can't excuse everything he did prior to that based on the results. And they're still doing it to this day. These are the same niggas that, every year they were starting to have a ritual or anniversary of when he beat Earl. And then you also had Bud coming out saying, he ain't going to be in the Hall of Fame, shitting on his greatest victory. But then he's seen hitting the pads with him and all this dumb shit. I'm like, Earl, do what you gotta do, Earl. You a bigger man than me, bro. You didn't need to do that shit. I'd rather see you get in there, even though Jamel been talking spicy, I'd rather see you get in there with Jamel, man, and working with him. Than Bud, because watch my words. based on the outcome, we're gonna see how they flip it and they flop. You know what I'm saying? And that's the first one. I don't respect it. I don't understand it. I salute Earl going into this Tim Zoo, but I'm going to discount all that shit that happened with Bud. Like, you didn't need to do that. So if Tim Zoo is to get you, you know what I'm saying, get rid of you or do whatever he gonna do, I'm not gonna say, oh man, it was only because Bud, damaged him and all this. And if Earl is to wash the shit or to stop, drop, and knock out in devastating bodywork fashion that he typically do, you know what I'm saying? Breaking orbital bones and breaking ribs the way he did Kell Brook and Danny Garcia and the way Mikey saw something, the way he still did it, you know what I'm saying, after accidents and all this other shit. Like, I'm just gonna give Earl his credit straight up and down. It ain't gonna have shit to do with him and Bud hitting some pads for a weekend. You know what I'm saying? So I felt some kind of way about that. I don't like that shit because I know the character and the caliber of people from that region and how they think and how they act and how they move. And I don't give a fuck about them. That's my words on that. The second one, new narrative alert. And we really didn't talk about this fight. Why? Because we didn't give a fuck about this fight. The same way I posted Jake Paul and I said, this is your king. We had that chicken hat on. I posted the same thing about Usyk saying, this is your king when I found out he was fighting a kickboxer. The same way he dropped his belt to not fight Wardley. And now everybody want to jump out the woodwork and say, oh man, see, you see, it's like, no, he didn't fight Wardley. That's like Devin congratulating Rolly, you know what I'm saying, after he beat Ryan. That's like Devin congratulating Kambosos after he beat T.O. Like, you didn't beat T.O. You didn't beat Rolly. They did. So what the fuck are you celebrating for? Why you got your panties, why you all like juiced up because of that? So I put out something saying, hey, listen, when it came down to Usyk fighting Rico, I never wanted to see it, but it culminates in what I've been saying this whole time. I said, let these motherfuckers keep cherry picking. Why? They're gonna get their asses busted by somebody who do not deserve to be in the ring. And I find it very odd because I'm gonna call this guy Politic Senior. Now there's a Politic Junior and they co-sign each other, but like I'm noticing some patterns and some characteristics. When I say the shit, I'm wrong. Like, oh no, he just way too buff. He just like star stuff. When I say it, like when I said what I said about Blue Blood, when I said about Champside, when I said what I said about BFTB, when I said what I said about Clarissa, when I said what I said about Bud, when I said what I said about all these niggas, right? But then when Politics Senior get a hold of it, now is the time. It's like, no, nigga, you be playing politics, and Politics Junior, he doing the same fucking thing. Why? Because Politics Senior just came out. Now he don't like nobody from the UK. And I was like, listen, man, we gotta let that shit go as far as heavyweight because right now the UK got the heavyweight on lock. I'm like, man, you better get familiar. And I've been called Frank Sanchez the Sasquatch. Been called him that. Me and AC was high on Frank Sanchez. And when we seen him getting there with that knee brace, we was like, oh shit, we had picked him. But when he got in there with that knee brace and we was like, oh shit, we saw he was moving, Caballero got his ass. That's a sheer fact. We didn't know something was going on with the nigga knee. We just made an honest pick. But that's what we do. We'll make an honest pick, and if we're wrong, we're wrong. We're going to eat crow. We're going to come right out. We're going to stick our chin out and say, listen, that's the best pro I ever had, a la Devin and Brian Norman. We're going to say that. Guess what Politics Senior did? He came on and said that Usyk, you can clearly see that Usyk was carrying Rico. Stop it. That's what's wrong with y'all. And this is the premise of the channel. Like the premise of today's content is it's not just all about Oshaki. It's the politics of boxing fucking up the sport. It's like the people who have like the golden mics, the people who, people get up and wake up too early in the morning, or the people that every short they chime in, they want to hear what they got to say. Boxing politics is ruining boxing, and I'm tired of this hindsight shit. Rico was not carried by Usyk. Usyk was in there getting his ass whooped. I don't know what kind of carrying it is when you getting staggered, you getting hit with right strikes, you getting hit with left hooks, right hooks. By a nigga, they were joking around saying that he was fighting like a Neanderthal. They was honestly joking around saying that he was fighting like how Jim Carrey was fighting. Hunched over, this 1-1-2. Like, yeah, he was hunched over, but that nigga was in there putting paws on Usyk. So I don't want to hear this shit about how Usyk was carrying Rico. Nobody on this planet, even Ness was trying that bullshit. And lately I've been riding with Ness up until, this fight. But lately, Ness been telling the truth. Ness been telling the truth about Devin. Ness been telling the truth about Shakur. You know what I'm saying? He was gaslighting when it came down to this motherfucking Rico fight because even Sean Zattel and Radio Raheem, they said it. Every channel on YouTube was saying, hey man, listen, this was about to be bad for boxing. If they didn't do that corrupt shit and stop that fight, you know what I'm saying? Boxing was getting ready to take a real spill. And that's what I've been trying to say. Fuck all the boxing politics, y'all. Let's stop it, y'all. Let's just say what our eyes see, right? And then let's stop all this bullshit as far as going into fights. Like even with the Oshaki shit, we're going to get into that. People saying it's 50-50 and this, not noticing what it really is. Boxing politics. So I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the same way I was right about Blue Blood, the same way I was right about Champside, the same way I was right about BFTB, the same way I was right about how I felt about Tank versus Devin and the guy who everybody online think is the biggest Tank fan. Because he always putting on all this false news and all this and all that. And he's always being first the same way because he used to be a Devin fan. The nigga won't come see me. But I'm not going to give him the grace. I'm not going to give him the grace of being able to mute me. He won't come see me, but I was saying, hey man, listen man, was you right about Devin or was you right about Tank? Because now you would think he's the biggest Tank. The same way I was right about all these guys. The same way I was right about Captain Egghead. Like, it's only going to be in hindsight 2020 type situation where people will come around and say, oh, yeah, man, damn, you have been said it. I always say it. I'll be ahead of the time with this shit. Why? I've been praying for vision ever since I was in high school, and I got it. I don't care to be popular. I always say I'm the Lloyd Banks of this shit. I can really walk away from this shit. I ain't trying to be the Drake of this shit. But that's where we at. You got politics. I want y'all to keep your eyes on Politics Senior, which is Captain Egghead, and Politics Junior. Because Politics Junior is starting to do the same thing, and I'm going to get into it. And this is not something I wouldn't say to his face because I went under his post. I went under one of his things where he was saying something about this Oshaki and Ray Ford, and I called Cap. So you know who the fuck I'm talking about. But Politics Senior and Politics Junior, y'all on the clock, man. It's only a matter of time before people gonna keep listening to y'all because all y'all do is play politics. The same way y'all play politics with Earl and Bud, y'all did the same shit with Tank and Shakur, and y'all doing the same shit right now. It never ceased to amaze me. So how the fuck is you against all things fucking UK and then you gonna come on and say that Usyk carried Rico? Knock it off. Knock it off. You know what I'm saying? Politics Senior, you on borrowed time, bro. Stop playing politics, bro. Just get back to like what had me tuned in and listening to you every morning. Get back to that. Stop all the politics, dog. It's killing the sport. And I'm gonna park a lot that right there. But Usyk did not carry Rico. Rico was in there putting paws on motherfucking Usyk, and had it not been for that ref, we don't know what would have happened. Like on the scorecard, Rico was already up. Every YouTube, it's so many channels that I didn't even gotta like. You don't gotta take my word for it. Go listen to Sean Zattel. And you know what I'm saying? I be 50-50 with Sean Zattel and all that, but like, go listen to Sean Zattel and Radio Raheem. I endorse every single solitary thing they said on that video, and it's rare that I do that. It's rare. Go listen to them. Don't listen to Body Work. I always say, don't take my word for it. Go do your research. Go listen to what everybody else was saying, and then go listen to what Politics Senior said. And now, listen, and I'm a listen. Watch this. Start watching Politics Junior. This understudy, the guy who he think he's giving this invisible wand to, this magic wand where he could just pass down whatever. Like, I will kick his ball all over the fucking fence. That's why you never see him over here. And I'm not gonna give him the satisfaction to mute me, because he doing the same thing. He play politics the same way. So politics senior and politics junior, y'all niggas are on borrowed time. And like I said, I don't need to be Drake. I ain't trying to be commercial. I ain't got to get a whole bunch of people or whatever. But I would write about BFTB when I got off. I would write about, and when you said it, oh, everybody like, oh, yeah, BFTB, blah, blah, blah. I would write about Blue Blood. And then when you start digging his ass, oh, yeah, yeah. But you late, nigga. Wipe your goggles off. Listen more than you fucking talk sometimes. But both of y'all niggas, politics senior and politics junior, y'all on borrowed time. And I'm gonna park a lot it right there. I'm parking a lot it right there. Number 3. Kid Schofield is sounding sleepy. You know, it's kind of odd that I talked about this not too long ago. I said, man, a couple weeks ago, about a month and a half ago, they were on air. Don't take my word for it. They was on air talking about how the belts don't matter and how it's really just about big fights and all this. And y'all know that Daddy Skull is always talking for Son Skull. So they was on full bore ahead, talking about how belts didn't matter and you know this and that, and how it's just all about the big fights and fuck the belts and this. And then I was like, hold on, man, I seen a shift. Because, once again, Politic Junior, who everybody default to. And how did that news get you? Because, you know, I tuned into Politic Junior about Tank. And he's always, Politic Junior always coming out here giving you the late breaking news and the updates about. But he said that everything was looking good. Like, what happened, Politic Junior? So now everything ain't looking good? Politics Junior. So now we gonna wait another 6 months. So that means all that bullshit about you being first, you being all open, and you being having this, you ain't doing shit but just reaching for straws. You don't know shit more than anybody else that can spend hours on end just researching and doing dumb shit and jumping to a conclusion. Cause now all of a sudden Tank ain't looking good, huh? Politics Junior. Tank ain't looking good, huh? Things ain't looking good for him, huh? Politics Junior and Politics Senior. Stop all the politics. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. Don't go chasing waterfall. I think that's like Ephesians like 3:16 or some shit. Yeah, I'm not sure. But now, a month and a half ago, Schofield was talking about belts didn't matter. And fuck Tank. And this and this and that and blah blah this, and then 2 weeks later he was like, "Oh no, man, we next in line for Tank, and yeah, you know my son, you know he's the best fighter in the world," and all that bullshit and all the shit that I stopped listening to because I called them. I've been calling it straight down the middle on these guys. I said, man, I'm not understanding. And then I heard something that like really made me go crazy. I just heard Floyd Schofield, the little one, the fighter. Not the father, the fighter. You know what I'm saying? I just heard him say, my son and my daughter. And I'm like, hey, congratulations. But I don't know how the fuck you got a son and a daughter with a pull-out game like that. This man got a vicious ass. I said, man, he got one of the most vicious, like, he up there with, I would say, he above Keith Thurman with the pull-out game. You know what I'm saying? He's up there with the pull-out game, but now this man got a son. Because last thing I knew, I just thought he had a son. He done went on and had a daughter. Like, you been having a good old time. Like, salute to you. But that's what we're here for, I guess, to procreate and, you know, live life and, you know, enjoy and have experience. But he didn't have, I heard this man say he got a son and a daughter. But I look back at the pull-out game, I'm like, hold on, man. You was supposed to fight Lucas Body. No, you was supposed to fight H2O. That's how Lucas Body even got his claim to fame, by knocking out H2O when he was getting his ears boxed off. You did not fight. I don't care what nobody say. You turned down $1 million offer to fight Abdullah Mason. And I was like, hold on, man, we're not gonna let this go. Like, this is rare. They were gonna give you $1 million to fight Abdullah Mason. This is before he actually got the belt, and you turned that shit down. I'm not forgetting that. That's not a pullout, but that's a turn down. You pulled out of the Shakur fight. And then you pulled out a fight with JoJo Diaz after he already went to war with Regis Prograis. So that's 4 fights right there where you turned down Abdullah Mason and then you pulled out a Shakur, H2O, who Lucas Body got his claim to fame, and then a JoJo Diaz who was right for the taking after a Tevin Farmer. And now all of a sudden, Tank is food, you say. You sound sleepy, bro. You sound sleepy, bro. If there is a such thing like what I said with the reason why, and I was one of them, I was probably perhaps the most honest Tank fan out here. I'm not gonna gaslight you. I said Tank lost to Lamont Roach. Like if I had to go by the scorecards and being right is right, and now I'm probably the biggest Tank fan out here. I said he lost, but I'm not one of these dudes that's gonna play politics and try to bullshit. Like I fuck with Tank the long way. I said the only reason why I said he lost is because by the rules, if they go by the rules, he lost. He lost. I was mad about the shit the day after. I said, man, you showed the dude too much respect. I already knew because he wasn't in the best headspace going into it. And he said, oh, you gonna bring Mom Dukes? He had too much respect for him. And Lamont did barely enough. And then with that knee situation, I was not gonna come out here and bullshit you like Politic Junior and Politic Senior. So I said he lost. Tank ain't gonna show you that much respect, dog. He gonna look at you like, oh, you a young nigga gonna try to put me on my misery. He gonna do you like he did Frank Martin. All them muscles, all that, whatever. You headbutt, you come in rough, you ain't worked on nothing. Why? You ain't even been fighting to work on nothing. And y'all let Tevin Farmer go to the ringer. Shakur let Tevin Farmer go to the ringer. That was Shakur's work. He let him go through Muay Thai. It was arguable. But then right at the end, I think Muay Thai did just enough. And that was when Tevin Farmer just came off of a 3-year layoff. Then he went to war with Zepeda. He beat Zepeda the first time. They robbed him. He dropped him and everything. They robbed him. Then he went back down there and Zepeda put in that body work. Guess who Shakur for? Zepeda. He didn't fight Tevin Farmer. Then you had the benefit of fighting Tevin Farmer after he went through the ringer like that. He went through a Muay Thai and 2 Zepedas before he got to you. And you knocked him out. And now you talking about Tank food. You sound sleepy, though. You sound sleepy, though. You ain't been as active as Tank, but Tank got way more experience. And Tank, you're not going to be able to do what Lamont Roach did. And I respect you because I be seeing it work out. You're a physical specimen and all that. But, like, having all them muscles and all that, ask Frank how that worked out. And Frank was doing good. I think Frank is actually more technically sound than you are. You come in leading with your head. You're not pristine and all that. But I already know you just want your payday and you think that Tank is right for the tanking. Why? Because he's going through all this bullshit in the media. But don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let the smooth taste. He's going through some shit, but you sound sleepy. And guess what? I hope Tank take that fight. Why? Because everybody said they want Lamont and like this dude Candy Slim. I already told y'all. There's a bunch of niggas out here online that they pretty much propagate the same systematic bullshit, the same boxing politic bullshit. Because the guy Candy Slim, he was over there on TBV, right? He was talking about how, Lamont Roach, and they were saying Lamont Roach and Keyshawn would be a good fight. Lamont Roach and Shakur would be a good fight. Lamont Roach and you name them. Pitbull Cruz rematch, that'd be a good fight. But I said, hold on. How come Lamont Roach wasn't a good fight for Tank, but he a good fight for everybody? I said, you a hypocrite. How come he wasn't a good fight for Tank, but he a good fight for Keyshawn, he a good fight for Shakur, he a good fight for anybody else who you put your name in the mix. You know what this nigga said? Oh, because until he proved himself against Tank, then that wasn't a good fight, but now he is. I said, you a hypocrite, bro. You're a hypocrite. Like that's the logic. That's the fan dummy zombie logic that we be dealing with right now. So, everybody know that I'm pretty much Tank ride or die until he get knocked the fuck out, or he just clearly shown that, you know what I'm saying, he's not who he is. Like when, like after, like it'll be like a Adrian Broner fan like post Mike Donner after he got smacked. Like until he gets smacked like that and get knocked the fuck out or get, you know what I'm saying, get warped into another time zone to where he get the juice zapped out of him, I'm gonna be a Tank guy, ride or die. And I don't make videos about him all the time. And like I don't just ride his nuts. I don't come out here with like every 15 minutes, like, oh yeah, man, he went to court and then he did this. It's like, no, I'm gonna let the chips fall where they may. I'm gonna let the dust settle. Then I'm gonna report on all that shit. And when he come out with some relative news, just like I do everybody else, that's when I'm reporting on it. I'm not gonna do like Politics Senior and Politics Junior. And that's the housekeeping. What you got, AC?
Where I'm at with it, bro. I guess I'm gonna start with backwards and then move forward. With this whole Floyd Schofield situation, we're seeing that the fight is being ordered, right? Schofield been sitting around, I guess, biding his time and stuff like that, which I don't think was the smartest move when the other guy that you're trying to wait for has, you know, a huge gap in skills. So for me, when I'm listening to Floyd Schofield and I'm listening to his father and the interviews and stuff like that, I have to honestly say they may have at one point felt that Tank was something extremely dangerous, and his son and Floyd Schofield was just like, I'm not ready for it. But since the Jake Paul thing, you know what I'm saying? The narrative for Tank has been anyone can say anything egregious about him and it sticks. It's like double-sided tape. You feel what I'm saying? Or Gorilla Glue. If I say it, put a little dot on it, I can pick up a 50-pound fucking weight with it on top of a piece of tissue. With a piece of tissue. So I'm just like, okay, what fight for Floyd Schofield can he point at and say, okay, this was my performance, and then look at Tank's performance and y'all tell me, and both of us fought this guy within, you know, pretty much back to back. Tank fought him, stopped him, he comes back with a really, really impressive victory, and then I stop him in a much more impressive fashion. If you're giving me something like that, and you're giving me something plausible like that, that I can say, yo, hey, wait a minute, Schofield is looking crazy these days. It's like, for me, it's like turning the corner what Brian Norman did going into the Devin fight. I am a huge Devin Haney fan, but Devin didn't give me anything for me to support him. Brian Norman was doing all the things as a fan of boxing I was 100% buying into and loving. And I said, okay, this is the step-up fight. At the very beginning, I said, look, here's the thing. This is a fucked up situation for me because I'm a huge fan of both of these people. Yes, with me, Brian Norman, I had some questions and some reservations, and it just seems as though he made that turn and he's on the right track. I don't care how fast or slow he moves. I just know he's on the right track right now. And once he's on the right track, it's just a matter of time. So me picking Brian Norman because Brian Norman was doing everything. His mannerisms, everything he was saying, both in and out the ring, was saying that, okay, I'm ready to compete on this level. Okay, I ate crow at the end of the day. Devin was going through something. He got out of it, figured out the game plan like he usually do with these guys and executed it. And he, you know, beating Brian Norman may be the type of thing that for us, this may be the only loss we see on Brian Norman's record for like the next 10 years or so. Because it seems as though he learned so much from that fight. And at the end of the day, that's all I can ask from a person. Is Floyd Schofield at that level to whereas if he loses, he can turn it into a positive? And for me, that's the delusional aspect of Floyd Schofield. Because you said Tank always loses rounds. He's always losing a fight until he gets that, he gets that left hook. So I'm just like, so you basically brought everything that Tank does and did, and you said it's all a matter of his patience and a left hook. So how do you explain the Pitbull Cruz fight, Lamont? Floyd? How do you explain that fight? There was no stoppage. The left hook wasn't there. He just had to rely on boxing, IQ, and foot movement. So when you say stuff like that, I can see where the person who was interviewing you was like, bro, you just said some crazy shit, but just because I need to rock and I need to, I'm breaking news right now, and this statement is going to cause my channel to go viral because now I have this viral moment based off this dumb shit you just said. Okay, cool. You had the other guy over there talking about it and stuff like that. And for once I was like, whoa, you actually coming to old boy's defense? Because god damn, you know what I'm saying? So that's a huge flip-flop for me. So I didn't realize that Body Sword. So I was sending him to the video to be like, are you hearing what this dude is saying about Tank? You know what I'm saying? The other part of, and I'll move into this and then circle back. The other part about him talking about Alexander Usyk and Usyk being carried, I'm going to say it like this. That is the perfect, like that is pure perfection. If you want to sell somebody some bullshit with some gold leaf caviar and every other fucking thing that you can put on that big pile of dog shit, including edible flowers. Mm-hmm. So that is the perfect excuse for the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. That is, I'm like, wow, whoever thought of that one right there, yeah, you gonna get some airplay. Everybody, that's gonna catch on. Maybe out here Carpenter or one of them dudes talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And they'll put it out there like, the online media is saying that, it's highly plausible that Usyk actually carried him. And if Usyk carried him, then we can understand why that performance looked that way. So moving into this Caballero fight, it's only going to make it more interesting. And that's the selling point for the next fight, whether you people got it or not. That is the perfect selling marketing tool. Oh, I just carried him. Well, let's look at examples of fights that we know somebody was actually carried. And I could say that's Floyd versus Conor McGregor and Floyd versus the Logan Paul. Those two fights, you can see Floyd clearly carried them because he literally carried them after he caught him with a shot and then they knocked him out. Little ass Floyd is holding these bigger dudes up like, bro, please wake the fuck up. I got millions of dollars on the line that I can't knock you out this early. I can't put the stoppage on this early. And we knew that because the betting odds came out and what Floyd betted on. He betted on the 10-round stoppage and he got the 10-round stoppage. But we saw he could have stopped the motherfucker from the second or third round. You know what I'm saying? There's a plausible argument that Bud carried the Sean Porter fight. Because as soon as he found out or someone said, yo, you down, and that was his little buddy, he goes out there and says, what, how? Okay, so if I'm down, I got to take control of this shit. Drops him twice. Sean Porter's father said, oh my God, see, that's the Bud I didn't want to put my son in the ring with at this stage in his life. If I could have had 5 years earlier, I don't know if I would have thrown in the towel with my son.
Fuck no. Fuck,
You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's just like we know what was going on with Usyk. Nobody in their right mind had Usyk that fight as a draw or Usyk up in any way. Usyk was down, no matter how you look at it, by a bare minimum of 7 rounds.
Bare minimum.
That's a bare minimum. You were down by 7 rounds. So the one knockdown doesn't make up for those 7 rounds you were down. You know what I'm saying? So Turk got to save his investment. And that's just the way I saw that fight. It wasn't nobody being carried. It wasn't none of that. The investment was about to just flop. That's finding out that, hey, we got this great product, but these small little pieces, if you can't get hold of it, your kid's gonna swallow it, choke, or be poisoned. And now you gotta pull all of that bullshit off the shelf. That's not what they wanted to do, because the Caballero fight, Deontay Wilder, or whoever's gonna be next, those are all big paydays for Usyk. Usyk has never had these type of paydays. He got his first one with Tyson Fury, second one with AJ. You feel what I'm saying? So he likes the money now. He loves that money. I've been boxing, making a couple of $100,000 before I got into this world global market. Like that. At cruiserweight, I wasn't making this type of money, even beating all of those solid cruiserweight fighters that some of them went up to heavyweight and did their thing. So you just got to understand where certain things are. And just to close off on those 2 talking points those 2 house cleaning points I just made. At the end of the day, we're still in an area where people are trying to create their viral moment. Floyd Schofield had his viral moment by talking about Tank always losing and yada, yada, yada. And for Usyk, the viral moment is the excuse that he now is carrying, he now carried Rico in that fight. So, you know, this is the fucked up side. This is the business of boxing. When these 2 things go like this. I'll give it to Floyd at this point. That dumb shit you said, I could say this. If we get the announcement that this fight is made, that dumb shit you just said is gonna sell the fight. Because all those Tank hating ass fans are gonna run and be like, yeah, now Tank got some real, now he got to deal with some real shit. You know what I'm saying? And then they're going to be, oh, see, you Shakur hating fans, yeah, y'all got to keep the same energy because y'all was talking about Floyd could possibly stop Shakur. So y'all gonna say, so what? Now we can't say Floyd may be able to stop Tank? Tank ain't been doing nothing. He ain't been out the ring. You could see that's what they gonna say if the fight gets made. If the fight doesn't get made, they're gonna start to say, somebody's gonna say Tank ducked that fight. If Tank fights a rematch with Lamont Roach or Pitbull Cruz, more so Pitbull Cruz, some goofy motherfucker is gonna come out his face and say Tank just ducked Floyd Schofield. We already saw you beat him, so why you gotta do that? Why couldn't you fight young Floyd Schofield? And then all the other stuff. See, same energy. Y'all was talking about this, y'all. And that's gonna be how it's set up. And I'm hoping right now I'm not giving nobody the blueprint to this dumb shit that may be eavesdropping and knowing that where you are, you're in that bubble, so you can say that dumb shit. So that's where I landed with that. Spence coming back and training with Bud. I'm going to say it like this. For me, I may look at it two different ways. One way is Bud is trying to save face. Bud is trying to redeem something. There's some sort of redemption in, for me, the way I'm looking at Bud Crawford, his movements, and how he seems to be wanting to take this role of, if Bud is seen it in the training camp with you, or he's by your joint, he's pulling up in fights and going to see both opponents and giving his take on how each one of them can win. He's trying to, by default, fit into that face of boxing role. He wants to be what other fighters like Andre Ward, Tim Bradley, who else? Maybe even a Sean Porter, how they made that transition from the ring and they slowly started to be in the mix of certain fights and stuff like that. And then they became like that commentator who's now part of something, or maybe he'll be the go-to guy when they're talking about fights being made when he's in the gym. It's just something he's trying to do. And in order for that thing to be done, he has to present a better image of himself. Not that quiet guy, that so-called silent assassin type of mentality. That shit's not gonna work now that you're retired. So you're seeing Bud on his world tour. You're seeing Terence Crawford in everybody's dressing room. Low level fights to high level fights. It's, Bud Crawford came to see me before, this was my 6th fight and it was on this card, and Bud came to see me because I was in the prelims, because there was a little buzz around my name. Yeah, that's the business of boxing, telling Crawford, if you want to do what you think you want to do, you got to clean your shit up. Same thing YouTube does for every content creator. If you want to be monetized, you got to go through this period of cleaning your shit up, doing these type of videos that we say will get you monetized, and then you're monetized. Why wouldn't that same type of attitude or that same type of format work for building this next level star? His stardom in boxing came at the very, very end of his career. Basically his last 3 fights. Although he had the accolades, but you put Terence Crawford, like I said, I'm here in New York, right? We go to 42nd Street, right? And we stand right in the middle of all of that stuff, which is not 42nd Street. It's really like 44th or 45th Street. And when you're talking about the whole Broadway thing, right? So put him right there, right in the heart of everything, right in front of one of the biggest theaters, and sit him in a chair. Leave his name out and say, all right, sit in a chair, take a free picture with this sports guy. No fucking body here in New York is really gonna sit in that chair. You probably have 12 people, especially in that area, that would probably know who the fuck Terence Crawford is and know what he looks like. To see him in the street, not to see a fighter when they're in boxing shape, but to notice him when he's in the street, when he's got a coat on, when he's got a jacket on or some shit like that. That's the biggest difference, and Crawford just doesn't have that. You feel what I'm saying? So now we have to do what he's doing right now. And showing up, working with Errol Spence after he said the dumb shit about Errol Spence, yeah, it's a way to clean it up. For Errol Spence, it shows you've always been the bigger person. You've always been the 10 toes down guy. You know what I'm saying? Listen, everybody makes mistakes. I'll give you the one mulligan. You want to come in my gym and, have your op with me and stuff like that? Do it. But it might work out for me a lot better than it's working out for you, because everybody remembers what you said. And for me, it shows the bigger character that I was able to forgive this petty ass, dude. I know I made him a star. You feel what I'm saying? So if you want to come back and be around me again now that you're trying to whatever, okay, cool. But I've always been there, and that type of shit don't fuck with me. It's not even important to me. But it is important to you because you need redemption. You need the accolades. You need for people to accept you. They just accepted me because of me. They accepted me because guess what? To a certain degree, everything I've done has always supported Black American boxing. And that's the difference between me and you, Terrence Crawford. I've been Black American boxing since day one. And I say that for you. And that's probably why people will always choose Errol Spence over Terrence Crawford. Because we know who's the real Black American boxer. And not to go into the weird thing with who you signed with in a promotional company, but that has something to do with it, because at the end of the day, everything that I've done have been supported and built within that scope of Black American boxing and Black American greatness. Say what you want to say about PBC, but there is no boxing organization that made more Black millionaires than PBC. So with that being said, that's where I land at. I'm pretty 50-50 on it. Yeah, there's a heavy element of clout chasing with Crawford going over there with Spence, because it's not clout on Errol Spence's part whatsoever. It's all on Bud, because Bud has an agenda, and he needs to clean up the Terrence Crawford page so he can be monetized properly the way he wants to be monetized. So just take it as that. Almost all three of these housekeeping, the commonality between all three of them is, number one, the business of boxing, both in and outside the ring, as well as perception. Everyone's trying to maneuver and manipulate their own perception. They're trying to do it for Usyk, Bud is trying to do it for himself, and Floyd Schofield is trying to do it for himself. And that's where I landed.
Good points. Let me just talk about Top Rank. Like, Top Rank, like, even like I can go back, because I'm not going to say that I'm like one of the most like deep historians, like when you go back to the people before my era, because like whenever I do my research, I go back to the 80s. I was born in 1980, and I'm telling myself I'll be 46 years old in December. But I always do my research and I go with what's relative, so that I have an impact, so that even when I'm gone and left and I expire from here, it'll be something on record to where I was always putting stakes in the ground and putting people on to things that they shouldn't take my word for, or take your word for. Anybody affiliated with this channel, they should have to go back and do their research. But like Top Rank, like the whole Bud thing, you can go back to, don't take BodyWorks word for it, but you can go back to Top Rank and how they were pushing Loma. When Bud re-signed, they used that deal that they got, that ESPN got, the Top Rank guy with ESPN. They did that on the back of Bud re-signing, because he was that talented. And guess what they did? They allocated those funds over to Tyson Fury, and they were saying that Loma was the best thing since sliced bread. But what happened? T.O., he snuffed out Loma. And then, Tyson Fury, he got off on the Wilder thing, but, long count and all this and all that. But, like, they were putting him on his back burner. And then you had the comments from Mr. Bob Arum. It's funny how everybody always come back and they appreciate what Bob's saying now, and it's like, well, we already knew that. Like Bob, there was always an underlying undertone of him being racist, but he was always saying that Bud was a sucker for the right hand. That took him time to be back in it like a film. And when you develop a film in a red room, it's like it takes time to develop that film. So Bud was in the background developing, and they was allocating the funds that they got off of him, putting into these other great white hypes. That's why I'll be saying, like, that's why I'm an advocate now. And I say, you know what? I'm being more vocal about the great white hype. Usyk was a great white hype. Tyson Fury was a great white hype. Loma was a great white hype. So you was not like when Bud was the guy and he was supposed to be getting whatever he was supposed to be getting in top rank, whatever, when he should have been the captain. Like Bud, he was saying that, oh man, you know, we got fighters, but he don't want to fight them. And he was saying he's a sucker for the right hand. And then he said that shit about I could have bought a house in Beverly Hills for all the money I lost and all that. And then people be rewriting history talking about how Bud was this and this and that, but like Bud was talking about Thurman. He was not talking about Errol Spence. So for him to shit on Errol Spence right after that, when he was the one who got his flame, his torch lit, only to come around and look like he's some saving grace or he's somebody to be admired because he's teaching and showing Earl this and this and that. Okay, cool. That shit sound good. That's media training at its finest. But like Top Rank has always shown you, when you don't listen to me, go back and listen to Mike. Go back and listen to Max Kellerman, and go listen to everybody but Tim Bradley and Andre Ward about what they were saying with about Bud and how Loma was better. Because I think Mark Krieger was like, I'm gonna tell you to your face. I'm actually going. I think he told Bud and Andre Ward to their face that he thought Loma was better. To their face. I know, like, to their face, bro. So, you know, that's how I feel about it. I'm just more upset that the outsiders don't really see the play at hand. Because I've been playing a lot of chess. And so I've been looking at the landscape of boxing as a whole, not just like the pieces that I like or the pieces that I enjoy on the board, but like the board in general. And that's just a political play. It looked good for Bud to finally be getting it back in with Earl, and Earl to look like he's really serious about coming back because he's sparring with. That shit ain't got nothing to do with what Earl wants to do with Tim Zoo. If he failed, it's gonna be because Earl is, you know, he might have just sustained too much damage. He might not be the fighter that he was, but we all know who had that energy. We all know that just like when Bud, he had Undisputed, he moved up, he chose to fight Jeff Horn. You know, that was political. Why? He had the WBO. Everybody was looking at Jeff Horn like he was the weakest champion. If he was chasing Thurman, he could have got Thurman. If he was chasing Earl, he could have got Earl. He had Undisputed. Yeah, it was a little bit of paperwork that needed to be put in or whatever, but who was going to argue with that? Nobody. So the bullshit, the hindsight of 2020 shit and all that, man, y'all can cry me a river. Y'all can make all the excuses. Y'all can try to politic it away, you know, excuse it away. It's not going to stop me from putting down the cold, hard facts. And that this was just a publicity stunt. Just like Bud. I'm like, man, if you retired, just go retire. I sound like a hater, but I'm like, man, I'm so sick of this. If you either you're retired or you're not. Because I'm like, with Hamza coming back and Billy being up there, like with all them motherfuckers, like with Benavidez even saying that he would come back down to 68, Bud wasn't going to touch foot back at 68 unless it was a guaranteed soft touch. He would do the rematch with Canelo, but that's about it. We couldn't expect him to do anything else than we would expect anybody else who come and relieve somebody of a strap at that weight class. The same shit I'm talking about with Shakur. You came up there and you relieved Tio of a strap. Okay, what about Gary Antoine Russell? What about Dalton Smith? Like, what about the motherfuckers in your weight? We couldn't expect that from Bud. So miss me with that bullshit when it come to Bud. That was a political play. The other thing you were talking about was Schofield. You know, what's so funny about him is how he's always saying he's always losing rounds and all this. The funny part is when you look at it, because I actually like Schofield. I think he's a young, bright kid, but as far as the shit that him and his father saying and the pullouts, I don't justify. Like, I keep it a buck across the board. Just like when I had to eventually shit on Hitchens, even though I was a huge Hitchens fan and nobody really liked him. But I'm gonna say this: it's funny how he'll say, "Oh, Tank's losing rounds," but you're not a boxer, dog. You're a puncher. You're considered a puncher, but you might be leaning more into the boxer puncher. But you're not the type. You don't have the caliber and style. You're not an Oshaki. You're not a Hitchens. You're not a Devin. You're not a boxer to say that. Okay, so even if it was true, and even if and I'll come back around and address this. But let me say this first. You're not the boxer that would exploit the fact that Tank was losing rounds if he was really losing rounds, because that's one of them things to where you heard enough people say it in the media and now you think that shit is true. It's not true. Tank may lose a couple rounds. Yeah, he might down low. Yeah, he might be a slow starter and all that. Yeah, he do like to get hit. Like some fighters, they actually like to get hit. Like Subriel Matias was like that. I think David Benavidez is like that. Like, and they gotta feel like they in a fight before they juices get going. It's just, I mean, that's some old school shit, throwback shit. You know what I'm saying? But like, the funny part of that is that you're not the boxer that would exploit the fact that he's losing rounds. You're not gonna be the one outboxing him for 6 rounds until he knock you the fuck out. You're gonna be in there dancing around. He can be figuring you out. He might be fucking carrying you, Eureka. But you're not a boxer to say that. The other thing is, when people say those things, like, oh yeah, he's always down, I'm at a point now where when somebody say that, we need to stop them dead in their tracks and say, okay, show proof. Show proof. Because the same way they justify that bullshit, the same way senior politician senior, the same way he was talking about that carrying stuff and he used the rounds that the scorecard said, okay, well, let's do the same thing with Tank. If you go back and use the rounds, when you say he's down, produce a scorecard where they showed me that Tank was down on the scorecard before he actually stopped the motherfucker. You can't! Why? Because I'm a real Tank fan. And you're not going to checkmate me or put back baby in the corner in that manner. So you can't just pull shit out your ass and say stuff without no proof. So the next time you hear somebody say, oh man, Tank's always losing before he decides, show me proof. Produce a scorecard, nigga, or shut the fuck up. Yeah. Right now, all you're really doing is saying something that media run with and say, oh yeah, he do have a point because what, Mike Cap said it? Because Max Kellerman said it? That don't mean that shit is true. A lot of people say a lot of shit that ain't true.
Yeah, because
that's one of them that where he's always down. He's not always down, because when you go back and look at the scorecards, he was up. Even in the Pitbull Cruz fight when he boxed, the best boxing match I've seen Tank in with the Pitbull Cruz fight, when he actually had to box because he had a hurt hand. And he was not losing. So people just put a lot of shit out their ass because of Tank, and they know that, okay, well, ain't no Al to come out here and justify like an Eddie Hearn. It ain't no, and Tank ain't gonna come out, and none of the people that's gonna come out. You might have Leonard come out and say some shit, but Leonard, he's nowhere in the picture. But at the same time, they're not gonna come out and address the bullshit. Why? Because they like, man, y'all can say what y'all want. We getting this money, we knocking motherfuckers out, and the show must go on. But like, we got to start holding people feet to the fire when they come out here and they start shooting from their ass.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just to put a seal on it, is that the same thing you just said. When you look at the majority of these fights that says he was down, when you look at the stoppage, he was actually up on the cards. Just like they'll you know, within the scope of the Sean Porter, like I mentioned before, Sean Porter versus Bud. On the actual scorecards, Bud was ahead in that fight. So yeah, there's the narratives can float around because it, depending on how you're using it and what fighter you're talking about, and if you're keeping the same energy type of shit, then you know the narrative can work for your fighter or work against your fighter. In most cases, they try to say it as a knock. You feel what I'm saying? But at the same token, it's like, okay, you say, well, the great ones, you see them go through adversity, and then they find that way to turn it around and do what they got to do to get the victory. Okay, so if he was down, and in all of these fights you said he was down in, and he turns it around and wins the fight because he's undefeated, what does that say about him and the level of competition that he's fighting? What does that say about him?
Exactly.
Are you not going to take that into consideration? So at the end of the day, you can't sit here and tell me he doesn't fight anybody when you're looking at fighters who are now champions who you said he was down on the scorecards until he got the stoppage. You just took your own logic, bruh. That's the type of shit that makes a boxing fan, a real boxing fan, says, you know what? Shut the fuck up with your narrative. Because you just got cooked on something simple. The two things cannot be true at the same time. He cannot be like, well, he ain't fighting nobody. Then number two, these fighters today, we're not seeing them go through adversity, so we don't know where they are. Okay, so if there's all of these fights and all of these receipts of this man X, Y, and Z, then that's it is what it is.
It is what it is. Right. And then the last two before we get to the meat and potatoes, man, because I know what everybody came to hear is the meat and potato, is when it comes down to what Politics Senior said, and that carrying excuse, how Usyk carried him, that's a learned behavior. It was like he heard somebody else say that, and that's always going to be a go-to to where it's like, ain't nobody pull this rabbit out the hat. Let me pull it out. It's been a while. But guess what? I can point to a legitimate one where we know Canelo carried Munguia.
Yeah.
Because he knocked him down, and then he made a business decision to say, oh, well, this is my fellow Mexican, so I'm not just going to do him dirty because I want him to be able to go on and do whatever. Now, that backfired. Why? Because he got his ass busted by the Frenchman. He got an adverse finding with, with PEDs, and he came back and he waxed the Frenchman's ass. So when we can wipe all of that out, but like we can clearly see that Canelo carried Munguia. Like Canelo could have got rid of Munguia like any time, and then Munguia come back and he had this superbious, like where he just looked like, and I ain't want to do it because I hate when people do this. The one time when I said, oh man, did you have some steak down in Mexico, man? Because the way he fought, Resendiz, how lively he was and how much energy he had, how much power and how much zeal and fervor he had, I could have easily pulled a learned behavior like Politics Senior did with this fucking carrying shit. But like I could have said, oh man, Munguia juicing the same way they were trying to say, oh man, Frank Sanchez, you see his abs, man, he looked like he was juicing, man. Shut the fuck up. Because I could have easily said Munguia was fucking juicing. Like, I mean, I'm going to say it now. The nigga looked like he was like a totally different. The nigga was zapped. Like, that nigga was like one of them roaches. You know what I'm saying? That had sipped some Red Bull or some shit, but just, you couldn't catch him. Couldn't get a shoe on him. You couldn't get a fly swat on this nigga. This nigga was up on the wall. You know what I'm saying? He was in and out, you know what I'm saying? Like, didn't what he did, but like that was a learned behavior from Politics Senior. He learned that, oh man, he carried him. How convenient when you don't give a fuck about nobody from the UK. So why would you even be making excuses for Usyk? Why? Because of politics. You want to be on the meat of the guy because if you come down to Usyk, like when I called him the Great White Hype, people just gonna dismiss me. I don't give a fuck. That's what he is. He a great white hype. He beat AJ twice, who y'all said he wasn't shit. Y'all said Dubois was done, but Dubois stopped his ass with a body shot, and nobody talk about that. So he 2 victories over AJ, 2 victories over Dubois. What else he got? What else do he got of legitimacy? But y'all trying to put him up there with Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis and all these other. He's a great white hype. So for political reasons, you're gonna say, oh man, he carried Rico. But in saying that, you relieve yourself of saying, why the fuck did he fight Rico? He was a kickboxer. He only had one boxing fight before that. I was the only one that came on and said, this is your king, the same way I did Jake Paul. And to double down on it, I didn't like when Tank was getting ready to fight Jake Paul. I keep it a buck all the way around, 10 times 10. I keep it all the way funky. The standard never changed. We put them all on the scales. But that shit that Politics Senior said, that carrying shit, that was a learned behavior that he gonna pull out his rucksack whenever he feel like, oh, I'm gonna use this one because it make me sound good. Like, hey, I don't get to sound like I'm going against Usyk, so I don't have to, infuriate everybody else. Then I get to make him look good because I can say he carried him, and then I'm not on the hook for nothing. You're playing politics, dog. And that's gonna transition me into the meat and potatoes. This is the meat and potatoes. And salute to Solani, man. Yeah, Solani, I seen you cooking motherfuckers in the comments about Oshak. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it because it's like, it's some real ones out here. I just want the truth. I got Ford getting his ass beat too. Melazar, you say I was doing your film study on Enos and Zayas, and now you see Zayas winning. And I was saying, listen, this is what I've been saying all the time. You know what I'm saying? I got a guy that I rock with all the time, man, who, he's real high on Boots, but whenever his Boots and Zaya's conversation come up, I just gracefully bow out. Why? Because people don't like the truth. The truth is, we have not seen Boots fight a mover like Karen since Karen. So we don't know. You can like Boots all you want. And I always say this, and it's like, it might be sound like I'm trying to come off like I'm all arrogant and all. It's like, no, I bought tickets to go see Boots. And that's the same reason why this goes into my whole analysis of the Ray Ford and Oshaquie fight. Why? Because Ray Ford fought on that card against a guy named Matisse. Not Matias, Matisse. And Ray Ford didn't do nothing to separate himself. That's the same reason why I actually bet on Giasov against Catterall, and Catterall blew my parlay. I like Catterall, but I saw them on the same night when I went to Atlantic City and seen Boots. And I said, listen, people don't want to be real because of their affiliation. They from Philly. They think that since Earl, he's questionable, but he's retired. They thinking that this is our next best thing, in the weight classes that we can get the most action out of, so they want to jump all aboard. I'm not quite sold yet. I like Boots. I always say this. I qualify by saying there is nothing not to like about Boots. He's a gym rat. He's up under his father. Boots is like out of boxing, out of the ring issues. You know what I'm saying? He's, he got a relationship with his mother. He got a relationship with his father. He's been around his brothers. He's from Philly. There's nothing not to like about Boots. So when people come out and say, oh, you just hate, it's like, no, y'all niggas don't really just want to talk boxing when it comes to Boots. He has not fought a guy with educated movement who can punch and all that since Karen. So the truth is, like, you're making a hypothesis thinking that, he's just this physical specimen that can punch and do all this stuff, but we have not seen him cut off the ring against a mover since Karen. And people was telling me that I was all way off base the first fight. I said, man, like when I got crucified, and that's when I learned, I said, oh man, the beehive is just as bad as the D-hive. Like when you say one thing where it's like, we always talk boxing, everybody want to talk all this straight up and down boxing shit and all this, let's be right and exact, let's put them all on the scale, let's weigh them. But as soon as you start being right and exact, it's, oh man, you just got something against Boots. People just hate this young man. It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We talking boxing the way we do everybody else. When it comes down to a mover, and when I said it, I said, man, listen, you can try to lie to me. That's why I always say, let's just go by what our eyes see. You know what I'm saying? Not what our heart feel, but what our eyes see. I said, man, that nigga Karen was in there touching him. And lo and behold, it was about a year and some change later when I went back to do another episode, and I came across statistics saying that Cameron hit a CompuBox high against him. I said, oh, I wish I would have known that when I actually put out the first video. I was just going, I didn't know it was a concubines high. I just knew that, hey, I saw and I seen the numbers to where Karen hit this motherfucker more times than anybody else. But guess what? It was qualified by a year and some change later. That stat had already been out. I just came across it a year and some change later where it said that Karen set a concubines high with hitting them. And I said, oh, yeah, that's why I say, man, you can't deceive what does thine eyes seen. So to me, I'm not going to say it's 50-50. I think that it's like for the boxing world, it is 50-50 because the other aspect is that we never seen him against somebody that's bigger than him, but that can also move and punch on the move. So it's a multifaceted thing. So I said, man, dare I say 50-50? Not that it is 50-50 because I'm still kind of leaning towards Boots. I'm like, okay, cool. His juice is gonna be flowing. It's not gonna be one of the ones where he can't say I didn't get up for this and all this. But I'm not going on the whole I'm just being on code for the black man, the biggody black man, the black. No, I'm saying no. Boxing wise, with my boxing eyes and my boxing IQ and everything I've learned about boxing, saying that hey, this is when we're gonna see if Boots actually fixed the windshield wiper. The same way I said, man, we're not gonna see T.O. whether he fixed the windshield wipers until he get in there with somebody that can move and punch. What will happen? T.O. didn't show up against Shakur. His output wasn't the same. I did the numbers on that, but it's like we don't know if he fixed his windshield wipers, because when he fought Ortiz, I thought Ortiz beat him. People saying, "Oh man, you just hate T.O." and it's like, man, I was going up against T.O. I was riding with T.O. against Devin and all that. When I was saying, yeah, he was originally the first undisputed, and Devin really didn't want that. Like Devin was waiting for the right time and all this bullshit. But like now, all of a sudden, when I say Ortiz beat T.O., now I'm a T.O. hater. No, knock it off. I'm just a boxing fan that I don't allow myself the same way I said Lamont beat Tank. I don't allow myself to get swayed by politics and all that. And like, yeah, I might have lost some people like that was on Tank's side that said, oh man, why would you say Lamont did? Because I know according to the rules and what my eyes seen, that don't mean that I don't think that Tank can't knock his ass out or that Tank, you know what I'm saying, whatever. It didn't mean that. It just mean, hey, by the rules, by the letter of the law, he lost. That's all it was. Biggest Tank fan in the world. A big Boots fan where I took money. I bought tickets. I put gas in my car. Hotels, drinks. You know what I'm saying? Food. But that mean I'm a Boots hater because I say, hey man, we ain't seen him against a guy with a mover. Knock it off, y'all. That's why when certain people like, and even we got a lot of time. Like this is not until what, July? This is not until what, late June, July, that we get to see this fight. I got a lot of time. It's gonna be a lot of conversations come up that I'm gonna gracefully bow out. Why? Because I be ready to punch somebody in the face when they call me a hater just for speaking boxing facts. So I'm just gonna stay away from it. So I see why you see what you see, Melazar. And then Blaze, he say, I got Boots by decision, but I watched all Xander fights. He's a very good boxer. I got my tickets for the fight, so I'll be there to see it in person. That's what I'm saying. Like, Xander, he grew on me too. He's a mover, though. I was like, man, I didn't think Xander was going to go up against that guy named Chino and put him in the pocket the way he did. He boxed circles around that dude. I seen when he was fighting Teixeira and the other dude after Teixeira, I said, oh, man, Xander is fool. Then I'm like, hold on, man. This motherfucker is learning on the job. He's moving. He's punching. That's the style. He's in the same category as a Devin, Josh Kelly, that same kind of style to where if you don't know what you're doing and how to cut it off or whatever, they're going to, like, you're going to be down 3-4 rounds and you're going to be like, man, what do I do? What do I do? You know what I'm saying? We've seen it. Like, it's a certain unique style. Not saying that if you know what you're doing, yeah, you could probably put his lights out. But if you don't know what you're doing and they catch you off guard and you don't have no plan of where you can't cut off the ring, that's going to be that's motherfucking fish, man. That's like trying to catch a fish without a net. Like, it's slippery. The motherfuckers are slippery. I don't think Spence. Yeah, I think Tim Tszyu or Tony Harrison would have been the best Blaze for Spence to come back. Ring rush is real, of course. Spence is training with Bud. Yep, that's a real fact. Jose Rodriguez. It's crazy. They should have let Rico finish. Because everybody say, oh man, we knew Usyk was gonna knock him out in the final round. It's like we don't know that. That's why you get the ring. That's why you get that rest in the corner before you come back up. You don't know that. Rico had at least earned the fact that he was beating the shit out of. I ain't saying beating the shit out of him, but he was putting hands on Usyk. Like we heard AC say, at least seven rounds. He already had what Thurman. Like that was Thurman's golden number. He like, hey, I put 7 rounds in the bag. Unless you knock me out and knock me down, you're not gonna win this fight. Rico had already banked that. I think Floyd kind of went by that too. So he already banked enough to win the fight in 7 rounds. I said it was 6-1 going into the 8th. Mike Coppinger, never agree with him. I never agree with Mike Cap. Never. But on his unofficial, I totally agree with him. And lately on their unofficials, I've been agreeing with him. Why? Because these guys know that, hey man, I don't want to have to get on the red carpet and answer no questions after this bullshit. So I'm just going to say what it is. Surprisingly, he said what it was. Time is tanking for Tank. Yeah, it is, man. But in the grand scheme of things, man, we've seen people be out for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Tank been out for a year and a half. Not even a year and a half. He ain't even been out for a year and a half yet. Before the March of last year. So we coming up on a year and a half. A year and 3 months. So it's not as bad or egregious as everybody say. It's just people are really bigger fans than Tank. My lady say all the time, she's like, man, people be saying they hate Tank, but they actually love Tank. They love what he brings. It's just because you can't get him on your team, and you can't really monetize him unless you're speaking down on him or getting numbers up on your videos. It's like they love what he brings to the ring, but they don't love to appreciate the dude right now. And I always say, you're not gonna be into Tank, hang up your glove till you really appreciate what the little dude brings to the table. He said, it's hard for me to believe a fighter can carry a fight because shit can go sideways. Of course. Shit always can go sideways, man. Like you be thinking, I think it was a couple times when people were just like I think what happened with AJ and Jake Paul. It was some signs and some signals in there. It was like, oh, he gave AJ some signals, and AJ was like, he looked like he didn't, speak the English. And he cracked that nigga jaw. And that was it. So he had to lose 2 friends because of it. You know what I'm saying? So, you be trying to do that shit where I'm carrying and whatever, and then somebody be like, man, you know what? Fuck that. I'm about to do this and I'm about to do that. And then, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so, I didn't see the Usyk carrying Rico. If it was, I just say, you know what? There is no way as far as the betting out, because I put down $15. And guess what? This is how I know I'm right. This is how I know I'm right. I went back on there because I wanted to see if the odds were going to change this weekend before Oshak and Ray Ford, right? So I went back on there and I placed a bet for $15 because Catterall had already blew my parlay. I had Frank Sanchez beating Torres, right? Richard Torres. I had Frank Sanchez beating Torres. I had Hamza stopping nobody. Right? And I had there was one other fight I had. Catterall. Oh, Giasov and Catterall. Catterall blew my parlay. Catterall made Giasov put his hands in his pockets. I salute Catterall. He was without Bozy. I didn't know, I didn't know what game plan he was gonna have. I didn't know. I thought Giasov was gonna go all out, but he made him put his hand. So Catterall blew my parlay, right? I put another 15 down. I said, well, fuck it. Because originally I was going to put Rico on it. I said, nah, the business of boxing. I like, in my heart of hearts, I was like, man, it's no way they're going to let Rico win this fight. He got to knock Usyk out. And I was like, man, Usyk is too skilled for Rico to just knock his ass out. So I said, I ain't even going to put no money in it. When Catterall blew my parlay, I went back and I picked my same pick. I picked what's his name? I'm just around stopping this guy and for Rico to win, money line. So I put $15 down to win like $183. I was like, man, fuck it. Yeah, normally I do like 5, 10, 15, maybe $20. So this weekend it was a $30 weekend where I just put $30 on the game. I don't give a fuck about $30. You know what I'm saying? It's $1 a day for a month. Okay, cool. No harm, no foul. But if I win, I win. When I went back on there to check these odds a day, guess what? DraftKings had put $15 back on my account. What did I tell y'all? I told my lady, I said, hey baby, I got $15 on my account. I said, I know I didn't have this. I loaded on there and I placed the bet. I was like, I know I placed that bet. She was like, well, don't complain about it. You know what I'm saying? You got whatever. I said, no, but the thing is, I said, I know I placed this bet. DraftKings gave me my money back. What did I say about that fight, y'all? DraftKings gave me my $15 back. And I was pissed because I'm like, yeah, it was $15. I would have rather just lost my $15 and said, you know what I'm saying, fuck it, fuck y'all. But like, they gave me my $15 back, but like, it was $15 up against me winning 183. The 183 was damn near in my pocket had they not done that bullshit. But let me get into the we ain't been on here in a while, so the housekeeping was extended. But nevertheless, man, it is what it is. I always say, man, we old school. We not microwave. We be long-winded. We don't give a fuck. You gonna get this work. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, you gonna get this work. The meat and potatoes. This is the meat and potatoes right here, y'all. It's almost like it's Shaq versus them. Well, who is them, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? This fight, in my opinion, has gone so far away from two guys that have a fight this weekend. It has went so far away from that to where it's like it's OshaquieFoster versus all of the Shakur butt buddies, the Brat Pack, your friends and family plan. And it's like, it's almost like, you know when people say, man, I have no shame. Like, you know how some people have no shame. Like Neo, the singer. He be saying, I have no shame. I seen a picture with him. He got his 3 wives or 3 girlfriends, whatever. But he said in one of his songs, he got no shame. I'm like, hey, man, if you can get away with that shit, go ahead. Hey, to each his own. If you rocking with it, you know what I'm saying? You dealing with 3 women in your household, cool. It's all good when they all loving you and blah, blah, blah. But when they all get in the line and they all against you, you know what I'm saying? Or they decide to get rid of your ass, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but to each his own, you know what I'm saying? But I just bring Neo up because Neo said in one of his songs that he has no shame. It's almost like the Brat Pack, the people that ride with Shakur, the people that advocate for Shakur. Just like the little dummy from Nebraska that I said, I'm picking Ray Ford to beat Oshaquie because, you know, he'll never get a shot at Shakur. Like, no shame. No shame. Like, everything in your box, and now you're a boxer now. You don't want what's the best. You don't want to see a good match on Saturday night. You don't want to see 2 skilled boxers, close to even skill set. One guy in Oshaquie probably got a better skill set, displayed a better skill set, but in your own thing, like in all your rationale. That's how I know these dummies from Nebraska, they don't like, they negate, they abandon, they dismiss, reject, leave, withhold, everything, common sense when it comes down to like fights. Because as a boxer, you always go for the guy who, well, he's shown. The same guy tell you, oh, well, this guy's better experience, and he's showing that he's done this against this guy and that guy, and I just think this is going to come down to experience. They throw all that shit out the window. Why? Because of their fandemonium of Shakur. Because they brotherhood of Shakur. When you hear Richards and Hitchens, it's like, you over there with Zuffa. You got bigger problems than you just dropped the belt, nigga. You just ducked Duarte, nigga. What the fuck are you talking? And Richardson Hitchens is my guy. But I don't condone that BS behavior. Keyshawn, he just said they just let this man off the hook. He said he was going to stop Nair Albright. He didn't do it. He did not do it. He did not stop Nair Albright. That shit was like that, man. That fight was trash. Shakur, he said he wanted to go back to 35. He wanted his belt back. All the Shakurians, you know what I'm saying? All the extended Brat Pack, the friends and family all say, oh man, like man, the sanctioning bodies, man, he gotta do something, man. Mauricio Sulio, man, all this bullshit. Oshaki said, you know what? I got an answer. Guess what? I'll get you your belt back. I'll pay that $120K. We can do it in your backyard. Our backyard, Houston. Because he's from Orange. So, you know, they adopted him in Houston. So he's from there. He said, you can do all that. The only thing is you got to fight me. Shakur was like, nah, I ain't going to fight you. That's why he dropped that interim strap. And he went back down there. Why? Because he could make big fights. Oshaki did. And guess what happened? Shakur doubled right back around and said, I want to fight Muay Thai for a ring belt. They let him off the hook. Ray Ford fabricates this bullshit about this beef. Oshaki, his sister, like if you watch, I watch a lot of them killing movies. Like what went wrong, caught on camera when these lovers be killing. That's all I watch in my meantime. That's my guilty pleasure. I like watching that shit. I don't know why. But like when I watch it, I always look at and I notice that when it comes down to the investigators, they always look at the consistency of the character. If somebody's saying the same thing or whatever, like the minute like a killer, he say this thing and then the next time they interview him, he's saying something else. Guess what? Oshaki never changes. He was cold when it came down to Gillian Wallow. He was cold when it came down to Cam and Mace. And that's when he was dealing with a guy that was perceivably way more skilled, way more accomplished by the numbers than Ray Ford. That was my first video when I said, how y'all saying this is a 50-50 fight? Because Stephen Fulton was way more accomplished. He beat way more champions. That was his claim to fame. Some people had him on their pound for pound. Prior to anyway, they had him on his pound for pound list. Fulton. Shakur came on and said, oh man, we already knew that was a smaller guy moving up. You know what I'm saying? So if we take and apply Shakur's logic, the same thing he said about Fulton, we already know, hey, yeah, we already know Oshaki was tall, longer, you know what I'm saying, like better IQ, you know what I'm saying, blah, blah. You know, yeah, we already knew that was going to happen. But how that don't apply to Ray Ford? That's what we call a checkmate, Shakurians. That's what we call a checkmate, Shakurian. When we use your same logic, like just like the police, when they use your same logic, when they use the same word that come out of your motherfucking mouth to show and prove you wrong, that's what we call that. So how is this not any different where Fulton had a better resume than Raymond Ford? People, the thing is, Ray Ford, he's one of my guys, so I don't want this to get misconstrued, right? Torre, I actually like his coach. I didn't like that ghetto shit that they came with the first press conference with Oshaki with, talking about he ain't pay your coach. All that ghetto bullshit, like bet me, and then Ray Ford talking about bet my purse. Man, stop all that ghetto bullshit. But I like Torre. And Ray Ford was in my boxes to watch. I called him the Cobra in my boxes to watch. How did he get in my boxes to watch? Because Ray Ford used to let his hands go. He used to let his hands go. In my boxes to watch, if you go back under my videos, go to my boxes to watch collection and tell me if Ray Ford is not in there. So don't call me no fucking hater when it comes down to Ray Ford. Don't call me and tell me, oh, and you just, because you hate Shakur and blah, blah. I don't hate Shakur. Shakur was the definition of my boxes to watch. How do I hate Shakur? I said outside of Tank, I got Shakur. I just didn't like his moves. So I just stepped off of him. Just like recently, I just stepped off of Richardson Hitchens. And right now, I find that Ray Ford has got himself into a battle that's not his own. You are being a crash dummy for your mans. And Oshaki has been pointing this out every time he's got in front of the camera. He has not discredited Ray Ford. He did not say that he did not have any skills. He did not say that this man was talentless and he ain't got this and he ain't got that and whatever. And he actually he made the fight. There was 3 offers on the table, and Oshaki made it happen with Ray Ford. In my boxes to watch, I think it's like a 21 piece. Ray Ford, the highlight that I put in my boxes to watch before I stopped doing the boxes to watch collection because I kept getting copyrighted because they won't let me use the film, even though I'm one of the coldest when it comes to this digital shit. They wouldn't let me use it. He hit the man with a 21 piece. And also, there was a history where there was almost getting ready to be, this is a fun fact, there was almost getting ready to be a Shushu in a Ray Ford. Did y'all know that? That's a dream fight. I've been wanting to see that. With Shushu being down there at 126, Ray Ford being there, they was boxing Shushu out. They actually had to exchange words. That was something I actually wanted to see. So would I have been a hater if I'd have been going and saying, oh man, I got Shushu against Ray Ford? Or if I would have said, I got Ray Ford against Shushu. So if Shushu, I think Shushu, he's not on the friends and family plan, but he's right there. Like, he's right there with the friends. So if I would have said, man, I got Ray Ford against Shushu, would I have been a hater then? Would I have been a hater then? No, I wouldn't have. But like right now, we got Richardson Hitchens coming out saying his bullshit. Keyshawn saying his bullshit. Shakur, he put his mans out there. He the one a battery. He put a battery in Ray Ford back. Oshaki keeps saying he put a key in Ray Ford back. I think that Ray Ford is fighting a fight that's not his own. He's going to be collateral damage. And there's nothing here of recently, because I always keep saying, for all these people saying it's 50-50, it's 50-50. Why? Because I say, I'm not saying it's 50-50. I'm saying it's like 65-35, in my opinion. 70-30, maybe. But Ray Ford, he got power, right? But he don't let his hands go. I'm ashamed to say it, but I actually fell asleep on him versus Matisse. And then when I heard the post-fight interview, guess what he said? He said he didn't want to do nothing to get caught with something. Don't listen to me. Listen to what Ray Ford said. I didn't want to do nothing to get caught with something or whatever because he didn't want to engage. Well, if you one of them ones, you got to figure it out. And now this test that you up against, as far as OshaquieFoster, yeah. And OshaquieFoster said, I only fought since 2022? Since 2022, I've only fought in top 5 competition. Everybody want to negate all of that just because he's in the Shakur Friends and Family Network. And I applaud him because he went in there and Gilly and Wallow. He went into the Lions Den when it was Gilly, Wallow, and Fulton. It was just Oshaki. And he was telling them, like, I got Fulton. And then they would tell him, yeah, if you ever fight Shakur, I got Shakur. And he was like, okay, cool. Like, I understand what y'all got. He never got out of character. He never got disrespectful. He just said, you know what? I believe in myself. I know what I possess. I'm going to show y'all. And guess what? He put a clinical belt to ass. Keyshawn tried to say that was belt to ass. What he did with Naoya Albright, that wasn't belt to ass. He might have whooped some feet. He was whooping feet. But that wasn't belt to ass. Belt to ass was what Oshaki did with Stephen Fulton, an accomplished guy who beat more champions. And then when you look at it, yeah, they gave Eddie gave Ray Ford a short turnaround. I think it was like less than 60 days. He had to turn around and defend his belt. But when you look at what happened with Nick Ball, he got outworked by Nick Ball. And what happened? A guy even though I think the first fight, I think Figueroa beat Fulton. That's my disclaimer. Just like the first fight with Andre Ward and Kovalev, I think Kovalev beat him. That's my disclaimer. Those first fights, I think them two guys won. I think Figueroa beat Fulton in the first fight. The second fight, Fulton washed him. Well, guess what? Figueroa, the guy who on CompuBox at the time, when I researched it, He was the get hit man. You know, on that episode of Martin when they say, man, I just got a call from Tommy. He said, man, he called you to get hit, man. Well, he said, I got a call from Sugar Ray. He called you to get hit, man. Figueroa was the most hit person. Him and Navarrete and Figueroa. They used to go neck and neck, just like Bivol and Shakur. They go neck and neck with the plus minus. Yeah. Well, as far as getting hit, Navarrete and Figueroa, they go neck and neck with the most getting hit. I do my research, y'all. So with the guy that get most hit, he knocked out Nick Ball, who you lost to. And everybody putting all this shit out their ass about how, oh yeah, man, well, from what I'm seeing with Ford, what are you seeing with Ford? What are you seeing with him? The Matisse fight? I was there. I was in the building. What are you gonna tell me? I fell asleep. He wasn't doing anything. Rinse, wash, repeat. He don't let his hands go. So coming off the victory that Shockey had with Stephen Fulton, coming off of that masterclass that he put on, when everybody was like, oh man, Fulton is back. He washed him. Left him without any kind of answers. And so right now, they saying the Avengers are forming. And, you know, they're coming together. Like, they forming like Voltron against Oshaquie. And Oshaquie like, look, man, you can get in there and box with whoever. You like, just like Canelo, he brought in Evil LeBron. I call him Evil LeBron. You know what I'm saying? He brought in Evil LeBron. He brought in Boots. That shit didn't help him with Bud. Oshaquie pointed that out. You're like, man, so you can form an event. You can have, you know, when it's time to go southpaw, you can have Shakur come in. When it's time to go orthodox, you can have Richardson Hitchens come in. You can have every motherfucking body. He's like, they can't fight like me. And that's where I'm at. That's what it's looking like, man, because all I'm hearing, like, I was listening to the boxing voice, and all I kept hearing was everything. The premise of what everybody else was saying was basically saying that they got Ray Ford pretty much because of affiliation with Shakur Stevenson. And I'm like, man, I'm sorry to tell y'all this, but that don't win boxing match. Like, I could be affiliated with AC all I want, but if I don't know how to fix this motherfucking creme brulee, if I don't know how to motherfucking, you know what I'm saying, do this garlic butter salmon, I could be affiliated with him all I want to. He could show me time and time again, like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. Yeah, when you get it down to this, man, you gotta simmer it down. He could tell me all that shit. He can show me. We can be in there, but like when the clock goes ding and I'm on the clock and it's just me and the utensils and the garnishments and all the ingredients, it's up to me to put that shit together. AC can't do nothing for me. What is it? Hitchens can't do nothing for you, bro. Shakur can't do nothing for you. This is your Eminem moment to where it's like, yeah, this could be your step up fight because you come up here and you knock out Oshaquie. Hey, you're gonna make me eat crow. You know what I'm saying? As far as this fight, even though he's in my boxes to watch, that's why I say, miss me with that bullshit as far as hating on Ray Ford. I've been seeing it sounding. I've been saying, man, why'd you stop letting your hands go? And that's where I'm at with the AC. That's where I'm at with it.
Well, for me, when I look at this entire situation, I look at it like this. I have to go back to this because this is important, because this is one of the biggest mouthpieces for Shakur. Tim Bradley, 3 days after Shakur beat Teofimo Lopez, everybody was asking what's next from right after the fight. What's next? Who's Shakur gonna fight next? You know what I'm saying? And there was all of these candidates. This is maybe about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks since Oshaquie approached the WBC and made their deal. So Tim Bradley was like, y'all want to know what's the next fight for Shakur? What's the best next fight for Shakur? It'll tell you everything. It'll be the blah, blah, blah. He was throwing all of this hyperbole on the fight. He said OshaquieFoster. He said they both do the same things extremely well. IQ, footwork, jab, counterpunching, yada, yada, yada. Then he said, I'm not saying Oshaquie can beat him, but this is the best fight for Shakur moving forward if he's going back down to 35. So for me, it's always been, okay, so if that's coming from the Hall of Famer, and we're all looking at the Hall of Famer like, yeah, Tim Bradley is the guy. He was on Top Rank. He was the top ranked commentator. He did his thing in the ring, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So if he's saying the 50-50 fight is between him and Shakur, when you go down the little bro list, it's Shakur, then Keyshawn. Right after Keyshawn, it's the toss-up. And that's going to be either Hitchens or Raymond Ford. The person who's at the bottom is Shakur Stevenson's cousin of that whole friends and family issue. You feel what I'm saying? And what's the guy's name? Zaquan Moses? So Zaquan is sitting at the bottom. There's two guys fighting for the number 3 slot. And right now, because Raymond Ford was chosen, that's the guy who's filling out the number 3 spot. And what was crazy about it is that, okay, so you're filling up the number 3 spot. So how did this now become a 50-50 fight?
Exactly.
If you're number 3 on the bro list, then you got the number 1 bro. Right now, y'all niggas is like the Band of Brothers. Whatever the fuck that movie was with Omar Epps or whoever all of those dudes were, that was those brothers who were, who were all under that lady's house, that were all adopted brothers. You feel what I'm saying? You're them right now. That's what Shakur has right now. With Mark Wahlberg and all of those dudes. So that's what the fuck that's the way I see it. You just got all of these brothers and everybody's trying to vibe for something. And everybody want to protect Big Bro. And the media and sectors of the media are co-signing it. Well, yeah, you want to get to Shakur and you want to make that Shakur fight, you got to go through either Raymond Ford, Hitchens, or even Keyshawn. And I mean, that's just amazing that Shakur has risen to that level, after that Teofimo Lopez. That's not rising to a level. That's some bitch ass shit. Y'all rising him to the level and telling us that shit is okay. So he comes out and he's trying to make a statement to get up under Oshak's skin, make Shaq want to think twice that, okay, this is who I'm training with. I got Zaquan, I got Hitchens, and I got Keyshawn, and I'm Shakur little bro. So just because that relationship right there, you can tell, because everyone's trying to, now that it's supposed to be a 50-50 fight, they're giving the edge to Raymond Ford because they're talking about Raymond Ford's hand speed. And I've been listening to all of these people break down the fight. And I'm like, although I give, the more technical boxing skill to Oshak and the timing to Oshak, the hand speed and power I got to give to Raymond Ford because, this and that. So, excuse me. I'm sitting here laughing at it like, okay, so in boxing, the adage is timing beats speed. Timing also nullifies power. So if the guy who has the better timing, what does that do to your speed and your power? It's not there. And if I'm the more accomplished boxer, I don't get how you are now on my level. When there's nothing that has shown you're on my level. Because everyone who's breaking down this fight is saying, I am the better boxer. But because you got these two things, speed and you, and it's questionable who has more power. But it's mostly speed is the thing that everyone's saying, well, a fight breaks down to, can Oshaquie deal with Raymond Ford's speed? I'm just like, wow. That's crazy. When I look at footwork, Raymond Ford is always crossing his legs or he's always punching himself up to whereas his feet up under him in the ring as he's moving forward are not at the distance at least of his shoulders. You're standing straight up. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm just like, bro, I don't know how you get there. I don't know how we got there. And if everybody wants to settle this fight on, you know, the fact that it's now 50-50 and everybody's decision is somewhat made on the future fight with Shakur. Now that the fans are rooting for Raymond Ford to beat OshaquieFoster so they can now say, oh, okay, number one, he didn't win. And number two, even if he did win, his performance wasn't impressive enough to even get a fight with Shakur.
Exactly.
Okay, so if I look at that, then I have to ask the question. Whose performance was whatever to talk about how great Shakur was versus Zepeda? How great Shakur was versus Teofimo Lopez? Let's take his 5 fights. Let's take his last 5 fights. If I go by that metrics and then go by Oshak's last 5 fights, it should be the opposite. Shakur should be doing everything he can to make the fight with Oshaquie.
Yep.
So for me, I'm just like, you know what? This boxing media, these channels, you're trying to bullshit me in a way that's, you know, I don't need to be told, you know, how whatever, you know, where this particular weed was growing and all of this other stuff. I can literally smell it and look at it and say, yo, this shit look like it's gonna be crazy. Let me try that. I don't know if it's gonna do anything for me, but I do know that it didn't have to sell me. As the package itself, that's what sold me. All the hyperbole you told me didn't do anything for me to persuade me to cop that jar. It took 2 things. Let me look at it. Do I see any like crystal shit on it? What, you know, and how does it smell? From those 2, I was like, yeah, I'm good with this. I'll try it. So I keep trying to say, you know, good fights at the end of the day don't really have to be sold.
Right.
The selling of it is just the mere fact that we want to put asses in seats and we're making it now the spectacle. The fight was sold because the fans got into it. It's Ali versus Frazier, Ali versus Foreman. These fights didn't have to be sold. Once they were announced, that was it. Ali versus Sonny Liston. The press conferences doesn't. You going on this channel and that channel and 50 other channels doesn't really sell me on the fight. Doesn't, whatever. It's just the fact of what brings me closer is, okay, there's certain narratives around there. Are you squashing those narratives? Are you handling yourself as the people's champ and X, Y, and Z? So everything after that, I'm just like, you know what? The fight is good. The fight is good. Shaq versus, Raymond Ford. Is it a good fight? Yes. Am I gonna shit on Raymond Ford and be like, oh, Raymond Ford ain't got a chance in it? Well, it's a scap guild. It's a scap gap. It's a skills gap. And for me, I want to see Oshaquie's performance, and I want to see how Raymond Ford bounces back. There's some rumors that Shakur is supposed to be there. That's the drama right there as well. You beat little bro's ass in front of that man for those 12 rounds, and then you call him out. That you sold the fight. And if Shakur comes out and says, you know what, I don't like the way he called me out, it wasn't a matter of integrity. Well, Shakur, I think you should really go back and pick up a thesaurus and pick up a dictionary and see what integrity means and how it's used and any synonyms for integrity. Because a guy says this, all right, I may feel you lost your belt to some political bullshit. Whether I agree with it or not, guess what? The part says to me, you're a great champion. You deserve that belt because I do want to fight you, and I want to fight you when there's a belt on the line. So I'll help you get your belt back, and I'll take it out of my own pay to pay that thing. Now, here's the question I want to ask for people who missed that whole part. Did Terrence Crawford come out and say, I'm willing to pay that for you? No. Did any of the other brothers, Keyshawn or anybody else, come out their face? Jay Prince, anybody in Shakur's corner come out and say, you know what? That's a little punk ass $120,000, nigga. I got that for you, homie. Because I know you that. So I'm going to put this up so you get that belt back before these dudes even strip you. I got you. Did anybody do that for Shakur? So the one guy who wants to fight him says, I'll put that money up to get you your belt back. Get you reinstated back as the champion. That's not integrity. That's not saying, okay, we're both black fighters. You're black and Hispanic. I'm just straight up country. But I respect you enough to help you get your belt back, and I'm going to pay that tab for you. If that ain't fucking integrity, I don't know what the fuck it is in boxing. And you gonna come out here and say he had no integrity. The shit you talking about by telling everybody he had no integrity is you showing you ain't got no integrity at all. You can't sympathize, empathize, none of that. You don't see the gift horse right there. You are the young motherfucker that says, what is this, a gift horse? Does it got gold teeth? Can you open up its mouth so I can look inside of its mouth and see if it's got gold teeth? And if the gold teeth ain't 24 karat solid gold, listen, I'm not fucking with this horse. So when they tell you don't look the gift horse in the mouth, you just said, you know what? Tell that motherfucker to open its mouth. And I'm gonna put the little light right there and shine the little light with the little ring thing with the little metal thing on it. So, you know, I got reflective light so I could really see inside this gift horse mouth. The devil in the details were, I'm getting you your belt back. You beat me, guess what? You still got your belt. And you didn't have to pay the sanctioning fees. Wow, we talk about integrity. And this is what Oshaquie is up against. Everybody don't want to admit to that. People want to say, well, that don't matter. Nobody cares. I got into a big argument with a bunch of dudes over that. Because I'm like, yo, listen, how can y'all say that shit is cool? Yeah, but that fight is at 140. No, it's at 35. How can he pay a sanctioning fee for a belt Shakur just won? He's talking about 35, where he just beat Stephen Fulton to become the interim champion. And to keep that ball rolling and keep that energy rolling and get a fast turnaround, he said, guess what? I'll pay this for you. So me and you could, we could just put this fight together and have it set up for whenever you finish with Tio. Come on, bruh. But it don't matter. But now he wants to go down and fight Mortaya for the IBF and the lineal. Because at first he said he can keep the IBF belt. Now he wants that IBF belt. Wow, this is getting crazy. And for the media to say, listen, he has to fight. Oshaquie has to fight these guys. And he may even have to fight Keyshawn before he gets to Shakur. So that means he's got to fight all of these guys to get to the guy that he just said, listen, I'll get you your belt back. And everybody's going to rock with the fact that he had no integrity in saying what he said about him.
Wow. The thing is, when they asked Tank, they like, man, fight De Los Santos. And that was reasonable because that was an anomaly. That was like, they set a record for lowest output, but Tank was like, oh, here you go with his bodyguards. Everybody dismissed it. But now, because I've just been hearing, like today, it blew me away with some of the outlandish things. I've heard, oh, well, he got to fight Hitchens or he got to fight Keyshawn. I'm like, all this, like, and then what Boom said about, Ray Ford won't beat him, so he'll never get a shot. I'm like, do you know how you sound as a fucking boxing fan? And this is the thing. This is the jewel right here. I was doing my research, and I was saying, not only is it that, guys like David Benavidez, Brian Norman, Abdullah Mason, and then Oshaquie, which we're talking about today, not only do they get slighted, but like the boxing media, they're controlling everything. They're being, they got a selective spotlight on a group of people that they always like with the Usyk. Man, with Usyk is so they went on Usyk. A lot of channels, but prior to it, they was all condoning this kickboxer thing. The guy who only had one real boxer fight. Now you talking about? Imagine if Mike Tyson would have done that. Lennox Lewis when he was a heavyweight. Evander Holyfield. They would have gave these guys. They would have got crucified. But it's a selective spotlight, and right now this selective spotlight is on Shakur. And this is just based on one performance with Tio, where they don't even outline what Tio did. They don't even do what I did the same thing I did when I said, hold on, man, I don't agree with it. I'm ashamed of what happened with Jermell Charlo when he went up against Canelo, and I had to analyze it. And I said, okay, well, what would a proper boxing analyst do? They would look at their prior performances. They would look at the things that made you a fan. I said, oh, man. And I came out and I said, look, I can't condone what Jermell did. All I can say is that your output is nothing. And I showed the numbers. I showed the body work. I showed the offensive output. I even told beforehand, I went back to a video that I did beforehand saying that, listen, we didn't think it was going to be your defensive acumen that was going to get you through this fight. It was going to be your offensive output and the fact that you are a killer. You are a predator. you know that you got to render the judgment with these ones and twos. If you go to the scorecards, you already know it's the business of boxing. But I broke it down, and it's a hype bias. They got a hype bias behind Shakur right now, right? And basically, boxing politics is destroying the vitality of boxing, man. That's really what it comes down to. Like, who's killing boxing? Boxing politics. The fact that even when you have the golden mic, the hot white mic, where you can just say whatever and you got thousands of people listening to you, you don't want to say what's right and exact because you're so scared of the backlash. It's just like people are not going to tell the truth on how Bud was acting. When we can clearly go back to Akin Barak when he say, "Oh man, is the fight behind me? Yeah. Is it going to impact my legacy? No. It's going to impact his. It's not going to impact mine. I don't care if we ever fight. We don't ever got to fight." Like, you flip-flopping. Like, there's tons of information. There's tons of, it's a digital footprint. Whenever you go out and you do a video and you do anything on YouTube, it's out there. All you got to do is take time and do the research. And with AI, you can find it. But boxing politics is where we're at right now, to where it's, even if Oshaki, and we talked about this earlier, before the live, even if Oshaki goes out here and therapeutically washes Ray Ford the same way he did with Fulton, there is going to be a boxing politic media play to say that he didn't do enough to get a fight with Shakur. They've already laid down the track for it. So it's almost like I was going to title this like Oshak needed a stoppage just to get Shakur. Even though I don't, I just think that it's going to look Shakur, like I'm already off of Shakur. I like what he brings to the table as a fighter at times, but the fact that he don't want to please the fans, he don't give a fuck about the fans. He said UK fans are better. And he got all of these minions and all of these people, Hall of Famers, just coming at his, basically guarding him and all that. I don't really give a fuck about what Shakur do right now. There's no accountability. But they're gonna let him off the hook, AC. They're gonna say, "Oh man, well, I wasn't really impressed." And then this the latest thing. Well, we don't really know what fortune we got. I'm like, but when somebody said, I heard somebody say, "Well, we don't know." Like, yeah, I want to give Oshaki the credit for how he washed Fulton, but I don't know which Fulton that was that came in the ring. But when you say, "Hey, Earl didn't look right," when you could clearly see his eyes glazed over, the nigga looked like he smoked a pound of weed. He was sweating profusely. He looked like Wilder before he took off that motherfucking suit that he had on before he fought Fury. And people say, "Oh man, yeah, here y'all go." But that's what I heard today. We don't know what Fulton we got. The one that we don't know what Fulton we got. It's the same Fulton that Oshaki just watched. So I'm already putting out the precursor to this shit, to where if he go in there and he therapeutically washes Ray Ford the same way, no more, no less, where he make Fulton put his hands in his pockets and make a business decision where he got complete control over the fight, outbox him, outland him, outpoint him, dominate him, all of that. They're gonna say, "Well, I don't know, man. It was his first fight." They're gonna say, "Oh man, Ray Ford was his first fight moving up. I'm not sure, man, what Ray Ford that was." They're gonna make all kinds of.
They're gonna ask the questions. Was it too early for Ray? And was there some issues in his rehydration? Because if you go back and you look at the performance of this fight, and that fight could be 6 fights ago. Yeah, when you look at this fight, Ray Ford was just on top of his game. He was this, he was that. And they're gonna talk about that one fight like that was the fight that he had right before Oshaki. You feel what I'm saying? So they're all I kind of see it like this too. They're gonna make this question. Yes, that was a dominant victory. But did he fight a flat Ray Ford? And did Oshaki actually do enough? I mean, the guy was flat, and could he have gotten him up out of there? So as long as you ask these type of questions, then the other side of it, the part 2 of the equation that's in the parentheses and shit like that, says this. So did Ray Ford do enough to get the Shakur fight? And everybody's on that other side is going to be like, "Well, that's the biggest debate." And I don't think he did enough. I think he could have easily stopped him. I think he could have got the stoppage. Just like if you look at it, the talking points between Shakur versus Tio and the talking points between Ryan versus Barrios.
Yeah.
Oh, Barrios could have. I mean, Ryan, I'm just a little upset that Ryan didn't get him out of there. Like, Ryan should have got him out of there. Shakur said, that was a good, solid performance, but he could have stepped on the gas a little bit and got him up out of there. So
but
what
no
puts
pressure
back with
no,
Tio?
Yeah, but no pressure for Shakur like to do that with Tio, and Ryan dropped him twice.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's just a different standard. Like, so we already, it's just like what Dev said, man. They already got a game plan. And he said it's gonna be crazy if he fight him in the catch weight. The crazy part is what everybody's not seeing is that, listen, I'm gonna say it one more time, just in case anybody missed this on the last couple of lives I did when I talked about this point in particular. Right? Like Oshaki said, listen, after all that complaining, he said, listen, we can get you your belt back. He sent the B-side, sent an offer. He said, we'll pay that $120K. We'll get you reinstated. So that already had to be cleared by the WBC. And we'll do it in your backyard. I'm like, what else do you want? You want me throwing a reach around? Like, what you want me to do? A happy ending? What you need to get this done? Like, if that's what you want. He just obliterated. Shakur said, I'm not fighting him. So then they shitted on Ray Ford. If he really wanted it, he would have stayed and been the interim. Well, you can't make Shakur go back to a sanctioned body where he didn't pay the fees. So even if he said I wanted to go back until you pay the fee, you ain't gonna do it unless you take me up on my offer. So you can't make Shakur do that. The thing is, they waited till that died down. He waited till he got Ray Ford, that whole ordeal, and they would side and agree. And then he says he's going back down to 135 to fight Raymond Mortaia. That's why I said that was the what the fuck is the duck part 2. I'm like, y'all don't even understand what Shakur just did. He just literally ducked OshaquieFoster. And he wasn't trying to fight Raymond Mortaia because when me and AC did a comprehensive live about the 6-fight, $18 million minimum deal, we reasoned that Mortaia would have been in the deal. He didn't want to do it then. It wasn't until after he seen him against another southpaw boxer, skilled boxer, and Andy Cruz, that he finally mustered up the cojones to say, all right, I want Raymond Mortaia. And I don't even think that I think that he's on the, I don't even really believe that he want to go do that. Why? Because I don't even know if that's, like, I don't even know if he can beat Raymond Mortaia for real. Like, and I don't even think he can beat Raymond Mortaia. But people don't realize that, like, when I put out that what the fuck is a duck part 2, I don't think people really, like, understood what I was saying. I was like, man, this man literally, because if you're not going to be, if it's not no Gary Antoine, you know it wasn't going to be no Andy Dalton, because he was going to get Puello, even though he pulled out of a Puello fight. Andy Dalton did, so he's in limbo. If it wasn't none of them, the same pressure that they had for Richardson Hitchens to fight Gary Antoine, notice how there's never no pressure for Shakur Stevenson to fight Gary Antoine. Right? No, Andy here. I even heard somebody say, oh man, well, Keyshawn should fight Andy Hirioka. People were trying to say, well, what did he do? And Gary barely got past him, but it ain't no pressure for Keyshawn to fight Gary Antoine. No pressure for Shakur to fight Gary Antoine. And so we act like, oh yeah, he went up to 140. He done enough, so he don't got to do nothing else. But he can engage with Devin, which is above the weight class. He can engage with Ryan, which is above the weight class, or on some catch weight. He can engage with Conor Ben, which is above the weight class. And now he's talking about going back down after Oshaki and Ray Ford already secured their deal. That is a duck, bro.
Well, I'm going to say it like this, Body. It's not a duck because you got to remember, Shakur is a 126-pound fighter. He's a really, really small guy. Like, y'all, I don't know why y'all think Shakur can actually compete at 147 or even go up to 54. He's a 126 pounder. And I'm only saying that being facetious and quoting Mr. Tim Bradley, because that's his excuse why he can't fight these other guys, or why it doesn't really make any sense when these other guys turn around and say, what, you want to fight me at 47? Okay, bring your ass up here. I got you. Well, you know, Shakur shouldn't do that because he's really, really a small guy. You know, at best, Shakur's really 118, 115 pounder. And it's like, bro, come on, man. Like, every time you open your mouth, you taking 5 pounds away from Shakur. So what I'm saying is this. The mouthpiece is out there. And this is where I'm struggling with boxing, right? Because for me, you go to the hype of the Klitschko era, the hype of the AJ era. You feel what I'm saying? The hype of the Wilder era and stuff like this. You know, you didn't get these excuses. Win, lose, or draw, we was like, we don't give a shit. AJ gets demolished, you know, by Andy Ruiz. That didn't affect him at one bit. It didn't affect his earning potential. Oh, that was just a fluke, you know. AJ had a panic attack, and that's why that fight happened that way. Oh, okay. So AJ comes back, puts on a solid performance, and beats Andy. Everybody forgets it. But at the end of the day, there was nothing egregious in between AJ fighting anybody. There's nothing egregious between Errol Spence fighting anybody. Nobody was making these excuses. Nobody was making these weird-ass excuses when it came down to Floyd. Not even, I mean, people can be as pissed as they want at the performances between Canelo and yada yada and saying Canelo ducked this guy and that guy. But the excuses around it weren't like this. Nobody ever came to Canelo and said, listen, Canelo, I know you got stripped for that PED situation, but I'm going to get you your belt back if you fight me. None of the Charlos, neither one of the Charlos stepped to it. Neither, you know, who else? Demetrius Andrade, none of these black fighters who were like running after and saying, I'm pursuing this guy, hard body. And then us boxing media saying, yeah, Canelo's clearly ducking these guys. But I think at that time, if they would have pulled off an Oshak move, that's why to me, what Oshaki did to Shakur is the most gangster shit I have ever seen in my life in boxing. To me, that shit is more gangster than Ali saying, yeah, I'm going to fight this guy, and I'm going to knock his ass out in the 6th round. And then goes in there and knock that dude out in the 6th round. And he wasn't nobody to be knocked out in the 6th round. I'm going to go fight this dude next, and I'm going to knock him out in the 8th round. And knocks him out in the 8th round. That is a whole different level of confidence. And having that performance confidence. They should make Viagra off just that fact of what Ali was doing. You feel what I'm saying? So now, here comes Oshak. Oshak just made history. And it's surprising that no one in boxing media really talks about that historic move. Maybe after Oshak retire and Shakur retire, then it's going to come up and everybody's going to be like, oh my God, why? How did we miss that? Because y'all was too busy with a nigga dick in your mouth. That's how you missed it.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we saw and we heard what this man did. And we were like, oh my God. Can anything be more gangster in boxing to say, I'll pay your rent. I'll buy your clothes. I'll do anything. You know what I'm saying? Just to get you in the ring alone, I'll pay your rent. You feel what I'm saying? So he just baby-faced the shit out of Shakur Stevenson. And y'all have no issues with it in boxing. But y'all want to tell us that the integrity side falls on the fact that Shakur did the right thing and not entertaining him and putting, his other people in place to say, yeah, now you got to prove yourself. Well, he proved himself when he just pimp slapped the whole nine with this dude. Maybe some of y'all need to go watch Snoop's movie, Bossing Up, to see how pimps move. Because that was straight pimping right there.
Yeah, but to me, it's just sad that to hear somebody I know, not because of affiliation, but to hear somebody I know say that they hope Ray Ford beats Oshaquie just so he'll never have a shot at Shakur. I'm like, if I was Shakur, I mean, I would kind of be looking at you sideways, like, nigga, like, if he's the guy to beat and he gets on fire, like, it's just wrong on so many levels. And it just speaks to the mindset of, like, how people have been groomed. Like, you've been groomed when you acting like that. Like, I wish I would, like, I've done a lot of, I put out a lot of, like, pieces to defend Jamel, to defend Tank, to defend Spence. I ain't never heard no shit like that. Like, I ain't never came out and was like, oh man, I hope Tim Tszyu knock Keith Thurman the fuck out so we'll never get to see him against Keith Thurman against Errol Spence. And I was with Errol Spence when he said I ain't never fighting him, and then I changed my mind. I said, nah, man, Errol,
gotta fight him.
Yeah, you gotta fight him, man. It just makes sense. Like, but I've never put myself in a position to say no gay ass shit like that, man. And
yeah,
it's just weird, man. It's just weirdo behavior, bro. And that's where we at, man. That's where we at with boxing right now.
Yeah, I had lost a lot of. See, that's the thing that turned me off with Keith Thurman. On Errol Spence's side, I get it. I understood, but I was still like, if that fight come about, Earl, you got to fight this dude. But I completely understood, and I still rock with Errol's decision when he originally said it. Because Keith Thurman pulled some bullshit. All of those champions pulled some bullshit. Well, get a belt first. Get a belt if you want to fight me. When the fuck was that part of the deal? I'm the hottest thing coming. You beat me. You take my O. You the hottest thing on the planet right now. We both need each other. And right now, to a certain degree, yeah, the belt is just going to add zeros to the fight. But it doesn't take away from the fight itself. That's what you don't understand. That's why saying get a belt first is some real bitch ass shit to me when it comes down to two dudes. You got the champion who's at his prime, and you got the young hungry dude who's, just smacking shit dead. And when those two want to clash, you just got to let them clash. I don't see a pride of lion. And when that young male lion come with his chest up like, yo, what it do, OG? And OG is like, listen, bro, I'm letting you know, I don't back down. You see all these scars? They didn't get here for nothing. This little chip on my ear, half my ear gone, that shit ain't like that for nothing, youngin'. So if you ready to step up, you better be ready to jump. All right, hold this, wow. And then that old line just smack him with a paw. And they just get it in. It's you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna land it right here. It's no issues of saying, well, you gotta see if you could take one of my chicks first to get me mad enough. Or you gotta come here when you already got your own pride. Before if you wanna fuck with me. Mufasa ain't never get down like that. Mufasa just let Scar know you fuck around, you gonna find out. And that's where I landed.
What I was gonna say, what the saving grace was, and this goes back to what Bernard said when he said the ring is a lie detector. But what I've been saying is, like, you know, even with this Rico and Usyk thing and how Shakur's moving and how, you know, some of these guys are moving. Even this move that Devin just did, because he just ducked rolling. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah.
The saving grace to the whole Keith Thurman thing. And if you come back full circle, you listen to Keith Thurman now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. And the saving grace was he got somebody who he thought was a cherry pick. He was running around saying, "Oh man, with the T-Rex arms, you know, alligator arms and all this." Got knocked on his ass bag and got beat up.
Yeah.
Got beat up by old man Manny Pacquiao. And that's what kind of righted the ship. So
yeah,
Pacquiao wanted to fight Ugas. Ugas got some shine off of it because he put hands. And I bet on that fight. And I was like, man, I had Ugas, and I was a lifelong Manny Pacquiao. I used to love Pacquiao, man. I like the spirit. I like this energy. But what wound up happening is boxing balanced itself, because I'll say this all the time. Yeah, let these guys go ahead. Because I'm over it. Like, I'm over it with some of these guys. That's why I'm not going to come out here and, yeah, I'll do my little pieces or whatever to highlight the, you know, how they're moving and how, you know, it's bad for boxing. But I'm like, nah, let them go ahead and go off and do whatever they're going to do, because what's going to happen is they're going to get their asses busted by somebody who they didn't even deserve to be in the ring at that time. Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman thing, that's that thing. And then what happened with Ryan and Devin? Because at the time I was saying, man, Devin, don't go play in the sandbox with Ryan. You don't need that. Like, there's other guys. There was Sabril Matias, there was T.O., there was, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was other guys that you could have fought, you know, and he didn't do it. He wound up getting his ass busted. So that's what's really going to happen. So see, Shakur thinking that, oh, he maneuvering this and this and this, but Moritalia, that might be the nigga for him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And when he busts his ass, or possibly, dare I say, stop him, because Cruz is very skilled, but he's more offensive than Shakur. He's way more offensive than Shakur. Shakur is defense, but he's going to get his ass, that same style, he's going to get his ass busted by Ray and Moritalia. So I'm like, hey, let them keep doing it, because Keith Thurman, that shit that happened with Pacquiao, that's a prime example of, okay, you didn't want to do this with Earl, and you played keep away and all this and all that. You wound up getting your ass busted by an old man, somebody who you should have washed at that point. So,
I'm going to say it like this. For me, watching Shakur over the years, I'm starting to see, because he went into this newer style. If this was the 126, 130 Shakur, nah, Moritalia ain't got a chance with him. You're stylistically made for him, because that front foot pressure is what Shakur loved, because it was so amateurish that he could fall back on his years of amateur experience and then pick you apart just by letting his hands go. Because you're going to be there to be hit, because you're always going to be right in front of him. You feel what I'm saying? This is why I'm saying there is not, in my opinion, there is not a Mexican fighter, with the exception of David Benavidez or maybe Bam and maybe a couple of other dudes, that can actually beat Terrence Crawford. You feel what I'm saying? But when I look at the young Shakur, how he used to handle that front foot pressure, he handled it very, very well with foot movements, smart jab, and then when you shoot, he's always in position to counter you and then make you pay. This new version of Shakur, he's a lot more stationary. He's only moving when there's a threat, and then once he feels that threat is neutralized, then he becomes more stationary. Then he just starts plotting forward. You feel what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
What I'm saying what I'm saying is this: when he fights Moritalia, if he was to fight Moritalia has a different level of front foot placement or front foot pressure than he faced with Oscar Valdez and all of those other guys that may have shown him, even as Zepeda. Zepeda's front foot pressure is not the same as Mortaya's, because Mortaya, number one, is a bigger dude. You know what I'm saying? And number two, Mortaya has power. So once he starts to hit you, you're gonna respect that. Go ahead.
And look, I think that, you know, it's gonna look like there's a Zepeda fight, but it's not gonna end the same way. Like, it's gonna look the same because Mortaya got that breadbasket stab jab, one of my favorite punches. It sets up everything, and if you start doing it early the way he came out and did it to Cruz, it's like the key to victory. And I believe that if you were dealing with anybody else, if you were dealing with Tank, if you were dealing with Mortaya, if you were dealing with Abdullah Mason, you dealing with any one of them guys, and they got you on the rope in the position as Zepeda had you, where the ropes held you up, Mortaya's gonna drop you.
Yeah,
but he's more powerful. See, Zepeda he's just an accumulation, you know, but it ain't no real power. Like, Mortaya is more gifted because, one, better amateur pedigree, better punch placement, higher IQ. He's not just gonna overwhelm you with just punches and bunches. He's gonna locate that shit. He's gonna place them punches where they need to be. So, and then he got Robert in his corner.
And that's what I was gonna say. That was gonna be the last icing on the tree for me too. You know, he got Robert Garcia in that corner, bro, and Robert sees everything. You know,
Robert don't get his flowers. He don't get his just due the way he needs to. Like, but Robert is an excellent coach, man.
Yeah, and this is where I have to give the young dude some respect in this aspect, and saying, okay, Mortaya is a different animal. You know what I'm saying? You go out here and you take a Mortaya fight after this fight, and I'm just saying it's a good name, but I kind of see you and Mortaya at 140 or maybe even heavier. And that's what I'm saying, ACC. I think that Shakur, this is why I'm saying this is going to backfire. This is a culmination. This is going to be the culmination of all these wrong decisions. See, he believes, because Robert said they got one more fight this year and then he's going to 40. So Shakur like, nah, fuck that. Because remember, hey, Mortaya said, I'll fight you at 35, or I'll come up there to 40, or we can do the catch weight at 47. And Shakur was like, hold on now. I might as well go down there and fight you at 35. Why? Because it's probably more of a pressing issue for him to make 35. At 40, that man gonna be like, he's gonna be fully hydrated. He's gonna be fully himself. That punch resistance, all of that, and he ain't gonna be able to get Shakur ain't gonna be able to get this man off of him, man. So I think that Shakur believes that he's being calculated and fighting Mortaya at 35, but that shit is going to backfire. Why? Because I know that once I do what I do to this man right here, especially with the experience of fighting Andy Cruz, who's just as skilled. Like, Andy Cruz is a skilled offensive southpaw boxer, like accurate, like pristine feet. Like, Shakur ain't got them feet like that. Shakur got the evading, but he don't got the offensive. It's different, bro. So I think that Shakur believes he's gonna catch more. He's catching Mortaya at 35 right before he leaves, to where it's like I'm get him right before he leaves. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think it's gonna backfire for that reason. Yeah, I was talking about him and Abdullah.
Oh, Abdullah.
Abdullah been talking about, like, yeah, he wants a Mortaya fight.
Yeah, I seen that too.
I'm like,
I seen that too.
Okay, I mean, I would probably say, Abdullah, I fucks with you. If you see something that you can beat him, that's like where people, I would give that more credence than the way people are talking about Xander and Boots. You feel what I'm saying? That's a Latin guy. I'm like, it may be just a slight too early for you, Abdullah. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But if you see something, I'm not gonna say it's they shouldn't fight. Now you're a champion and he's a champion. You want to put your belt on the line to see that dude before he goes up? Hey, cool. I just think at 140, I think both of y'all, or even 47, if both of y'all wind up at 47, I just see that fight as it's one of the biggest fights in that division. Whatever division y'all gonna see each other in.
We see it because I ain't want to say nothing too. I seen it and I was like, ooh, I don't know. I was like, I said the same thing. I said, I don't know, Abdullah, man. I believe in you, bro. If you want to do it, I'm gonna be behind you. But I'm like, I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
Not right now because I'm thinking, man, they both kind of at their limit. And to me, like you said, it's a bigger fight at 40 or 47 than the risk at 35. But I'm not gonna get in the way of the fight. That's the only thing. If they say, hey, if they say it's announced, sign me up. But I thought the same thing. I was like, ooh, I don't know, Abdullah. I don't know, man. But because that's not Sam Noakes. You know what I'm saying? And Mortaia, you gotta think he's gained the experience of the Andy Cruz. That's why I said that. So we let Keyshawn, not us personally, but they let Keyshawn off the hook for Mortaia. They let him off the hook of being able to talk all that smack to Abdullah and knowing that he ain't. And now he get to call out Loma. I'm like, but Loma's at 35. What the fuck are you talking about? And you going to 40? You down? They saying it's etched in stone that you going to 47. So it's just like boxing politics, man. Boxing politics.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, damn. Like, I'm just like, if he makes that fight, and even if it's at 40 or 47, it's still, to me, going to be one of those fights that just is like, Abdullah's pressing. He's definitely doing everything that we're expecting of him. You know what I'm saying? And this is going to test everything, going to test his resolve, going to test everything. And at this point, we can truly say, when it comes down to a lot of these young guys and it comes down to X, Y, and Z for some of these guys who the media is telling us are already there. If we're looking at who's looking to make their runs and looking at their personality and then saying, yeah, I'm going to make my run. I'm going to start with this dude, then I'm going to do this dude. And if I can get this fight with this guy at this weight, then yeah, I would take on this guy at this weight. And if he's making that three fight run between those guys and he's going to end it off with Mortaia, yeah, Abdullah is putting himself in that David Benavidez category.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Because right now, I would much rather see Mortaia go to 40 and fight Keyshawn. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but Albert Bell gonna fight Andy Cruz.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. Albert Bell finally getting the shot, but this is Andy Cruz after Mortaia, like, so we can really get some smoke.
Yeah, because that's a fight that I looked at in the past and I was just like, I didn't know they would take the fight with Albert Bell, but the only fighter right now where I feel a little bit different is Mortaia. Andy Cruz, in the fact that, what Andy Cruz just weathered, you feel what I'm saying? Stylistically and stuff like that, it doesn't really have in my opinion, it don't really have too much to do with kind of, I haven't seen any Albert Bell, and this is full disclosure, I haven't seen any full Albert Bell fights. You know what I'm saying? but I've seen the clips and highlights of him, and he appears to be a lengthy, dangerous fighter. But a very, very skilled boxer looks like the guy that can beat him. So that's the part where I'm just like, out of everybody at 35, the two people I was most concerned with beating Albert Bell for me was Andy Cruz and Abdullah Mason.
Yeah, cause Albert Bell is tall, man. But you know, hey, I gotta stop. I gotta start incorporating Andy Cruz in it too, cause he's moving the way we want him to move. Even though, you know, he came out with a loss against Mortaia, he's one of them guys that I gotta consciously put back in the mix with the guys like the Benavidez, the Abdullahs, the Brian Normans, where they're not really running in front of no smoke. They want to test themselves. They want to challenge. Yeah. So yeah, but that's an interesting fight, man.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think we did this one justice, man. How you want to land? How you want to close out, bro?
Man, I'm gonna close out like this. No matter what, I think this weekend's card is gonna be an exciting card to watch. If I had a prediction on the card itself, I think it's gonna fall somewhere between an A- and an A+. That's just the vibe I'm getting from the card and things like that. I think everything's pretty much gonna be exciting, unless it's just one-sided ass whoopings, and even if it's that with the Oshaquie fight, I'm still excited because I'm just gonna be excited to see, like, bro, you really just took everything away from this kid. Like, damn, bro, damn. You know what I'm saying? So I'm rooting for Oshaquie. I'm not buying into the narratives of the fight coming down to yada yada yada. I just put on this one dude's channel. Listen, I don't know what it is, but a lot of you guys that are saying some of these common talking points, it's, to me, is your fandom, your prediction of this fight is dependent on how big of a fan of Shakur you are. And if that's how you're doing it, then just keep it a buck with your fan base, and, you know, let them know. Listen, I'm a little bit biased on this one because I rocks with this. Pete Dobbs fought a couple of weeks back. When me and you was talking, I said, yeah, there's a little bit of biasness with Dobbs because he, you know, I know him from a dude that I went to school with. You feel what I'm saying? Both of them niggas look exactly alike, you know, at this age and stuff like that. So you could tell that they family, and it was just like, yeah, Dobbs is like, you know, he's part of my his people was part of my old crew. So yeah, there's a little biasness there, but I'm not really, you know, like, yeah, I'm locked in to Pete Dobbs winning this fight because other dude could fight. How the fight played out, I kind of felt Dobbs kind of won, or it should have been a draw, but that's neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, man, I'll admit, and I think some of these channels just need to admit, if you're a little bit biased on the dude, yeah, I'm heavy on the dude, yeah, there's some biasness with me, so I'm going with this guy because yada, yada, yada. You feel what I'm saying? I always put that out there. And if you know somebody and you're saying that because I know this guy, and this guy's about to fight 23-year-old Mike Tyson, you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying my guy's already, you know, shown some sketchiness. I'm just picking my guy just because. And I should say, yeah, there's some biasness because number one, there's a big skills gap. Number two, the favor goes to the champion.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? So you're moving up. You're facing a guy who's effectively a champion for the last 3 years at that weight class. Held the belt, did nothing but fight championship level fights. Not to say you haven't, but that type of shit is going to show in what we're seeing, the progression of OshaquieFoster. And right now, OshaquieFoster's run trumps your run, even with a setback in between there, because he turned around and got that right back. You didn't turn around, spin the block, and say, yo, Nick, I need that back. That fight was too close.
Yep.
So you can rock with him because he's your homie and everything, but just let it be known, yo, listen, that dude's my homie, so there's gonna be a level of biasness the way I talk about him, and that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? I rock with him like that, and I'm not gonna bet against him. Okay, cool. This is the way you were. This is the way people were, and you were when it came down to So Cold. And the fact that you and I got into a big heated argument because I was just like, bro, I just don't see it. And you was like, nah, if you're not down with B&B, I don't want to fucking hear from you and all of this other stuff. And I was like, look, all of that shit don't matter. You know what I'm saying? None of that matters. I'm just telling you right now, the numbers are not in So Cold's favor. He is not going to win this fight. I could be wrong about a lot of other fights, but I know I'm not wrong about this one. Pacheco is going to win that fight. He's gonna put Diego in some trouble, but he just doesn't lack. He doesn't have that other thing that he can do that consistently through the whole fight. So once he gets behind, it's just going to be panic mode with So Cold, because that's going to be a reflective of his life and everything else. Just you don't know him. You don't know what he's been through. And I was like, I don't need to. I just know his agent, he's fighting at that fucking level, bruh. That tells me everything I need to know. And he's facing a younger guy at that same level. The younger guy is going to beat him, period.
Yep.
You know, so I'm just like, look, I call it as I see it. I'm a huge fan of Devin Haney, and I called against his fight. I'm still a huge fan of David Benavidez, and I was like, listen, David Benavidez going up to 68 is a great. I just, at this point right now, I just don't see him. If he went to 75, I just don't see him beating Bivol or Beterbiev. I'm sorry. I got to see a little bit more. And if he's going to go up there, if he going to prove he could fuck with them, he got to see a dude like Anthony Yard and Buatsi. David Benavidez shuts me up, proves me wrong, beats the dog shit out of my guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I like to be with this boxing shit. Just be a fan of the sport. I can be a fan of the fighter, but if I don't feel a guy that I'm a fan of is going to win, I'm going to be like, ooh, I don't know about that one. That's going to be a close one. And you just heard me and Body talk about Mason looking at Mortaya in that way. So that's where I land the plane. Great show, bro. I look forward to this weekend's fight. I'm looking forward to Oshaquie winning because I want to see the look on Shakur's face. And when Oshaquie's in the ring talking his shit, will Shakur hop in that ring and make that fight with OshaquieFoster?
Exactly. Well, good contribution as always, man. We got a good cook, man. So we'll see what happens. But I appreciate you jumping on, man. Hope you enjoy your evening.
Yeah, for sure. Just found out my missus' flight was canceled because of some delay, some technical shit with the plane. Beautiful. I'd rather the flight be delayed or the plane take off on some technical shit. So she'll be here sometime tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
Flight
What's
canceled,
the
so she got to take an Uber.
I hope she comfortable and all that, man. But yeah, we'll holler, man. I'll
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
get you up tomorrow and check on
Yeah,
you.
for sure. On to the
All right.
next one, bro.
Appreciate you. We had another good one in the books. Just to piggyback off of what AC said, even when it came down to Hamza, because I was big on Hamza. I've heard people use my talking points with Hamza, and going into the Adames fight, heavily biased on my part with Shiraz. And Adames made me eat crow. Brian Norman and Devin made me eat crow. It didn't make me stop being fans of Brian Norman or Hamza. And that's why I'm like, now, like all that stuff that y'all people be talking about Hamza and all this and all that, and then Adames grew on me as a fan, and after the Brian Norman fight, I gained respect for Devin. Now the next move, ducking and all that, like I had to come out and speak my piece on it. But like, yeah, we have our biases. Like me, I tend to have a southpaw bias. Why? I'm a southpaw fighter. That's my stance. But some of my favorite fighters are orthodox. Go figure. But I can admit it, man. And what's interesting is what AC said, because I don't want people to get what AC said misconstrued about Ray Ford and Oshaquie. He said that he jumped to the end of the fight, right? He jumped to the point that he wanted to see what a Shakur is going to do. And I've heard this talking point, everywhere. Oh man, all these guys, they just hate Shakur, so they ride for Oshaquie. It's like, no. AC said he wants to see what happens. Because he pretty much already made his prediction. He think that, it's a skills gap. He said it several times. He thinks it's a skills gap between Ray Ford and Oshaquie. And he fast forwarded to the end. Like after Oshaquie get his hand raised, he wanted to see what Shakur is. The thing is, we are not fly-by-night Oshaquie fans. And that was a pet peeve of mine that I've been hearing all this week. All these Oshaquie fans came out of nowhere and all this. It's like, well, where did all these fucking Ray Ford fans come from? And based on what? Because the last fight, I was at that fight with Matisse when I was at the Matisse fight on the undercard of Boots in Atlantic City. That's the night when Guillaume fought, Zay Quinn Moses fought. It was a full card that night. I was in the building. He didn't do nothing with Matisse. Like, yeah, he won, he boxed, whatever. But like, this is coming off a performance where OshaquieFoster put belt to ass on Stephen Fortson. After Stephen Fortson had a great performance against Figueroa. So you gotta ask yourself, where are all these narratives coming by? And what, so it's not really there are some people that don't like Shakur and they just going against him. That's not us though. We are of the ilk, whereas like, I know me personally, I was doing videos and I told you, before Oshaquie put out a title, I did a video on him and he said, hey, salute the body work. There's nothing gonna stop me from getting that title. That's before he won the title. You know what I'm saying? I heard Politic Jr. try to come on and say, yeah, man, a lot of your fans is probably, and I called Cap on his channel in the comments and I said, man, Cap, like Oshaquie don't got like some of these guys are fly by night just saying, all right, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. But like a lot, Oshaquie been putting in that pain. I knew ever since, like when I really said, hey man, Oshaquie is that real deal. I knew when he went over there to Riyadh and he fought that dude over there in Riyadh, when he went over there to the desert in Dubai and he fought. And then after that, I said, man, my only knock on Oshaquie at that time after that was that I called him a cardiac kid, where I feel like sometimes he got to have his back up against the wall, for the best to come out. and I call, like, I'm a diehard. If you look at this right here, an Eagles fan. I said we were cardiac kids at one point, where it's like, man, we play better than what like we typically turn up in the second half, like when our back is against the wall, like when we really need it. That's when we really play the best. So that's just a saying that I've, grown accustomed to using. That was my only knock on Oshaquie, was that he was a cardiac kid at times, where it felt like his back had to be against the wall. Well, not knowing why he was fighting and doing the thing that he was doing, he was saying he was plagued with injuries. He's saying he's feel healthy, and he was like, man, look at my last performance. He said, I went in there, but like no injuries. I didn't have no reservation. He talked about the injuries that he had against Nova and, some of these other fights or whatever. And he's mentally in his prime. He's older. He's more stable. He knows that, boxing is not really riding with him. He's not the media darling. He's not the one that everybody's like pushing for and, and doing all that. And if you want to just silence everything I said, saying, oh man, yeah, you just hate Shakur. This is what I was trying to say when it come down to this fight right here. Like when this fight came about, and I said, Ray is going to school, this is what it came down to. The plus minus differential. The very thing that people ride Shakur's jockstrap for, I said, listen, all these people saying this is 50-50 and this and this and this. It's like, I'm like, based on what? Not according to the numbers. According to the numbers of OshaquieFoster's plus minus ratio, here recently, if you go over the last 3 fights, his plus minus ratio has been better than Shakur's. That's the fun fact, and I'm one of them channels where I'm going to break down and give you something that you can put in your rucksack and march on with, not just no fanboyism. You know what I'm saying? So you can take that with a grain of salt, put that in your pipe and smoke it if you want to. You know what I'm saying? But that's just how I feel, man. I'm looking forward to this fight. May the best man win. Ray Ford is in my boxes to watch as well. I don't negate his skills, like AC said, it's a skills gap. And I just think that it's Oshaquie's time right now. If he move up and he find himself across from Tank or across from, one of the other guys that I really rock with, I might have a totally different assessment. Who knows? In this fight right now, I'm rocking with Shaq. You know what I'm saying? And like Tulani said, I think Shaq going to shock the world. And then we're going to see how Shakur moves and how the media moves, man. But keep an eye on this. Remember, I say silence is consent. That's what the SIC meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we got to speak to the things that need to be spoken to in the sport of boxing, man. We can't be flip-floppers. We can't be politicians. It is killing the sport. You know what I'm saying? Support the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. We are monetized. Super chat. Cash app. Just help the channel out. We are growing. We are making our numbers. We do set goals. And every now and again, we take a step back because we believe in quality, not quantity. So we ain't got to be on here every day, all day. But when we do come through, I think we do provide that nutritional value. That's why I always say it's the fruits and veggies, not that Reggie, fact-based content, not opinion-based, even though we have ours. We say, hey, go where they always sing your name and they always glad you came and they always sing your praise, right? Go to your favorite channel, have your water cooler talk, link up, say what's up, how they do, blah, 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 how you been, how the kids, do all of that. Then come over here to this channel and see what we got to say when we kick it. And hopefully you learn something. Hopefully, we provoke something in your mind and we trigger your critical thinking skill. It's not, that rote memorization and regurgitation, saying that you get everywhere else. But y'all know I can talk that boxing all day and all night. It's Shock versus them, and I got Shock. I'm putting up numbers, I'm going to use my 15. I might put another 15 of what I got. And bet the house on no Shock, man. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
Welcome to